Well, a tremendous Thursday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the first edition of the Jason Gregor Show in 2025. I hope you have a great Christmas and Happy New Year. Wherever you celebrated, however you celebrated, maybe you didn't celebrate. Maybe you're in bed early. Totally fine. That's a great way to celebrate. All depends on what stage of your life you are at. Either way, hope it was enjoyable for you and your family and wherever you were celebrating with. Hope it was a good time. We will be celebrating lots of sports talk today on the show. It is the Gregor Show, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stay right here in the province, PlayAlberta.ca. So Jeff Marek from the Sheet is going to join us right away. We got lots to talk about. World Juniors, of course, the quarterfinals are going on today. Also, Germany made Leon Draisaitl very happy as they were able to stay in Pool A, avoid relegation, as Kazakhstan will not be part of the tournament next year. We'll talk a little bit about that. The Edmonton Oilers starting a new calendar year. The 2024 portion of the 24-25 season is over. Edmonton went out with a bang, shall we say, defeating Utah 4-1 on New Year's Eve. And now they will host what should be probably a little bit of a fatigued Anaheim Ducks team tomorrow night. The Quackers are in Winnipeg tonight to take on the Winnipeg Jets in a busy, as always, Thursday sked in the National Hockey League. So we'll break that down. Of course, you got NFL, the final week of the regular season. Selfishly, I think it's you don't get to see Barkley chase a record, which, hey, you know what? I know everybody, well, injuries. Yeah, okay, injuries. You can get injured at any time. Like you had some teams who had spots clinched last weekend. Why did you not rest them then? So I don't know. I'd go after it if I was him, but they're not going to. That's fine. There will be some other things. If Lamar Jackson throws a touchdown and not an interception, he'll be the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for over 40 touchdowns in a season and have 4 interceptions or less. Unreal. Like anybody who says the MVP race is a lock, I think you're just showing your bias. There's no obvious choice. Josh Allen, great year. Lamar Jackson, great year. Jared Goff, great year. Joe Burrow, great year. Now, some guys you might rank them different, but I don't think there's a massive cavern as far as Josh Allen to Lamar Jackson. I honestly think it comes down to, well, Lamar's won. Who cares? That should have zero bearing. Zero. It should be based on what happened this season. Not about what happened last year or 2 years ago. That's irrelevant. It's not about, well, who's the MVP that hasn't won? It's not the award. I don't ever see that. Like, as a voter in the NHL, I never vote based on anything of what's happened the previous year. It's irrelevant. If a guy is the 3-time reigning MVP and he had the best season, I'd vote for him again. Why wouldn't I? Why would I say, wow, geez, yeah, it's a good year, but Bob's never won, so maybe I'm going to vote for him. Jeez, that's such a participation ribbon mentality, which just irks me. So, nonetheless, if someone thinks Lamar's more worthy, he's got a lot of numbers to say he might be, and Josh Allen has a lot of numbers to say he should be the MVP too. That's what makes it great. No, Jared Goff. I do wonder the fact that Josh Allen unlikely to play, like he's going to get his consecutive start record. And I don't know, what is he going to play? 1 snap? Maybe. Hand the ball off and then jog off the field? Sure. The Ravens, they want to win the division. They got a huge game. We'll see. What if Lamar goes off, has another 5-touchdown game? It's not his fault Josh Allen's sitting out. And there's no guarantee if Josh Allen played, they would have 5 touchdowns. So we'll see. But also, of course, you have the college football playoffs going on. You have the World Juniors. We're going to talk to Marek right away here about the World Juniors. And, man, Canada's some I think it's safe to say there's some questions about what's going on with them. Also, the Oilers, Vegas, LA, the Pacific Division, boys and girls, the best division in the NHL. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. 3 of the top 6 teams reside in the Pacific Division with Vegas, LA, and Edmonton. It's going to be a battle down the stretch for home ice advantage in the Pacific. And tomorrow starts a stretch of 9 games in 15 days for the Oilers. And none of them in the same city on consecutive games. The Oilers have 7 out of the 9 games on the road. They start at home against Anaheim. Then they're into Seattle, Boston, and Pittsburgh and Chicago. They fly home for 1 game against LA and then go right back on the road, Minnesota, Colorado, and Vancouver, 3 games in 4 days. So it's essentially an 8-game road trip because you're flying Seattle all the way across country to Boston, then to Pittsburgh, then to Chicago, then back to Edmonton, then to Minnesota, then Colorado, then Vancouver. I know it doesn't look like an 8-gamer, but that's an 8-game road trip for me. You get home, you stay in your bed for a few nights, yippee, but you're traveling all the time. You're going to different cities. So this is the toughest stretch for the Oilers, their final stretch of their season. They won't travel this much any other time. So we'll see how they come out. Meanwhile, Vegas is in kind of like the easiest part of their schedule. They got a bunch of non-playoff teams, although they did lose to Montreal, which happens, folks. I know everybody's still mad that the Oilers lost to Anaheim, but guess what? You don't always beat the bottom feeders. Vegas just lost at home to Montreal. It happens. So we'll get to all that. Connor Halley's here. Con, how you doing?
Doing good, Gregor. Happy New Year.
Yeah, happy New Year to you. Anything exciting?
No. New Year's was quite uneventful for us. We played a little Super Mario Brothers. Didn't do very well.
Wow, you and Ash are really just right into the Super Mario, eh?
We've been really getting into it. We haven't improved much. We're still getting stopped at a few levels. We cannot get past. Super Mario Brothers 3 is a bit of a challenge. But New Year's was pretty uneventful for us. A lot of fireworks in the areas. I don't know if you heard that going on. No. Kind of like from 8 till 12:30. We had a lot of that. But all in all, good New Year's.
Well, okay, nice. No, I took we were supposed to have plans that got changed at the last minute, so I ended up my son never sat first row, so we bought tickets first row for the game on New Year's Eve, and it's always a great reminder of how fast the game is when you sit right there. It was he had a thrill there, so that was loads of fun. And then home in bed, and I think he was in the quilts at 10:15. I was probably in about 10:45. So no fireworks for me for New Year's. Is Marek there?
Not yet. I'm just watching for him. Not
okay.
Yet.
Well, we'll try to connect with him here momentarily. Send him a text maybe on the wake up, and then we'll talk some basketball. Steve Ellis will join us talk quarterfinals of the World Juniors. Your Remchuk's by. We got Spec. We'll hear from Leon Draisaitl, who continues his great season as Draisaitl starts the 2025 calendar year as the NHL's leader in goals with 27 goals in 37 games. He's on pace for his greatest goal-scoring season of his career. He scored 50, 52, and 55. He's got 56 points. He's on pace for another 50-goal, 50-assist season, which is what makes him so unique. Like, Draisaitl's an elite goal scorer, but also an elite passer. Matthews isn't the passer. Ovechkin isn't the passer. McKinnon, McDavid, they're not elite goal scorers like Draisaitl. This will be his 4th 50-goal season right now, bar an injury. Right? McKinnon's had 1. David's had 1. And neither one's on pace for another one this year. Now, I guess those two could get super hot at any point. Sure. But we'll see. Collins, go get my phone. A few other texts, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, would a Skinner for Mayfield trade make any sense from Stu 47? No. The Oilers, I don't think they view Mayfield as a guy they're going to want a lot. He's got more term on his contract than Jeff Skinner does. And do they view him as a top 4 right defenseman? Maybe. It's a good question, but why would the Islanders make that trade? Right? Like, their team's old and not very. Why were they taking Jeff Skinner? right? Like the contracts are the only thing, but Mayfield's got what, 3 years left at 3.5. He makes more than Brett Kulak. So no, I don't see that trade happening for the Edmonton Oilers. Right? Mayfield's 32 years of age. No, I don't think there's any chance. That's a trade that Edmonton would consider. If you look at, I'll say this for the Oilers. You try to see how their lineup is, and I've said this all along. When Evander Kane comes back, I think you have to have expectations that he's going to be like a bottom six left winger. Basically, only played in 9 months. I don't think you can expect him to come in and be a top six guy. So I think you got to build your roster planning that Evander Kane is here and he's a bottom six left winger. Nothing wrong with that. Coming off his, all you got to do is look at Connor Brown. Look at players coming off lengthy injuries, and they're not going to be the player that you remember them being right away. It just takes some time. Let's go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And remember, when you stop in at McD's right now, $1 coffee. The great taste, cheapest around, affordable, but still great tasting. Coffee at McDonald's. Host of The Sheet, Jeff Marek from Daily Faceoff. Joins us, Jeff. How you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, and all your listeners / viewers. We are all Latvians today, and through this tournament, Jason Gregor, agree or disagree?
Oh, you know what? The old Spec, our buddy, he got me into Latvian fire jumping many years at our Spec's deck party. Oh yeah, it's a big thing, right? Like
What's that?
Well, it's literally you jump over the fire. Right, so you're having like a fire, and then that was like Latvian fire jumping. It's like a thing that they do, and I remember, are you joking? No. And so I remember at the first Specs deck, we're in his backyard.
Wow.
And midnight, you're seeing if you have the courage to do some Latvian fire jumping.
I love it. For and they were like, all those kids should feel. I know it dropped a tough one to Sweden today, and now they're out, but. Everybody should feel great in that program, on that team, the fans themselves. I've always maintained, with all due respect to Canadian hockey fans, there are no greater hockey fans in the world than Latvian fans. We see it every year at the World Championships. They are there to celebrate that their team is playing hockey, period. If they win, it's a bonus. They don't care if they win, if they lose. They are there to celebrate. Like when you look at just like, Jason, I talk so much about like pure hockey joy. And, in Canada, because we have, the weight of history on us, there's like a sort of anxiety that comes along with hockey. We always look at it as if it's in crisis mode and things need to be changed and we need to do this different. Latvians are just happy that they're part of a hockey event. And I don't want to make it sound trivial either. And I don't want to make it sound condescending, but I really do believe that Latvian hockey fans bring the joy like no other fan base in the world. I am so happy for those kids. And I'll give you one more. So I was there in Ottawa. I got back. I left after the New Year's Eve game and came back home. But one of the things as a Canadian, I took the most pride in coming back from Ottawa after that Latvian win over Canada and the shocker. And Eric Smatejko is making a huge name for himself. 2 goals against Sweden, Washington Capitals prospect. He really looks good. But after that game, so there was one corner where there was a lot of Latvian fans, but then they're also like pepper and parsley in the steak. Like they're all sort of spread out through the Canadian Tire Center. So they go and celebrate where the largest concentration of Latvian hockey fans are, but then they kind of go around the rink as well and taps against the glass to all the Latvian hockey fans. Jason, and I know you would have loved this. Yeah. There were so many Canadians that stayed, that didn't leave because, the kids lost and embarrassment, all that stayed. Like you should have seen all the red jerseys that were around the rink. And as the Latvian kids came around, Canadian hockey fans applauding them for understanding just how much of an achievement that was by these kids who pushed their team. Like Jason, it was right around the glass. Like you would have loved it. Like tough that your team lost, but like an incredible show of respect from some wonderful Canadian hockey fans. I can understand being bitter and disappointed and just wanting to leave. I love the fact that there were so many Canadians that stayed to applaud these kids as they skated around the rink.
Well, the other thing, and 12 of their guys are eligible to return next year. Like they have a pretty young team.
I know. It's going to be great. It's like, it really is like a household, like Feldsberg's became a household name. And again, today, I'm specifically in that third period against Sweden. He was fantastic. I mean, Eric Smatejko he's a little bit of a heavy-booted skater, but he's probably going to play in the NHL Right now, he plays with the St. John Sea Dogs of the QMJHL. He'll be traded sooner than later, probably going to Rimouski. Rimouski's got a good team. Like they may have a Memorial Cup team, but everybody knows his name now. And if you're think about this for a second, Jason. I know we talk a lot about the St. Louis Blues, and they have, from Dalibor Dvorsky all the way down on Slovakia. It's like the Slovakian Blues. But if you're a Washington Capitals fan, you're looking at Eric Smatejko. You're looking at Ryan Leonard, who probably, Jason, he could be playing in the NHL right now, right? Like when you look at Ryan Leonard, do you not see that like this guy's like a man amongst boys? Like he should be playing in the NHL. And Cole Hudson. Now, I'm not anywhere close to saying he's as good as his brother Lane. Lane does special things out there. But having said that, if you're the Washington Capitals, and already you've got a lot of young kids that are popping on your team, and you're looking at these other kids that are at the World Juniors right now, like high-end skilled guys, I don't know, man. Like the Washington Capitol all of a sudden could be turning this thing over pretty quickly. We thought that maybe when Ovechkin got the record and they stripped it down, that there wouldn't be a whole lot there left. I think Washington's going to be just fine, Jason. I really do.
Oh God, yeah, no, Washington. They got a little bit lucky by having some of their old guys be able to be placed on LTIR, which allowed them to make some astute moves and bring in Strome. And really, well, Strome would have been brought in either way. But then getting the Dubois trade and Chychrun, so they took advantage of. They made some astute moves when guys got LTIR, and that's good. Like that shows you they also drafted well. McMichael's being a great find. The Sandin trade has worked out for them. They've the Lindgren signing, like they made a lot of good moves. No question about it. But yeah, they're going to be able to transition from the greatest goal scorer ever and not have a real big dip, and you just don't see that.
Can I pause on one name that you mentioned there, and that's Connor McMichael? You know what I like about this? You've seen this happen so many times, Jason. A guy gets put into the NHL much too soon, and it wrecks his career. Like when Connor McMichael first got called up from Hershey early in the career, and I know why they had to do it. It was injuries. Like the situation was just that they needed bodies. And he was, quite bluntly, rushed and put in a position he should never have been placed in. You remember watching all those games and saying, like, I know they need bodies, but like, do you really want to sacrifice a first-round draft pick just because you need bodies in there? Like McMichael is nowhere near being an NHLer. And I thought to myself, I really hope this doesn't wreck the kid's career. I really don't, because he doesn't belong, overwhelmed, confidence shot, all of it, tough to get it back to the Hershey Bears, and you cross your fingers. To me, this is one of the most positive stories of the year around the NHL. The fact that the early crushing of Connor McMichael didn't destroy his career, and he's become one of the most productive members of one of the biggest surprise teams in the NHL this season. We don't see that happen very often. As a matter of fact, we see the opposite. We see the guy that gets rushed, and then we never hear from him again, and we start saying, wow, that was a first-round bust. And really the problem was, no, your development killed him, and you rushed him into the NHL. Glad that it didn't happen with Connor McMichael.
Jeff Marek joins us. Jeff, the World Juniors, Canada struggling to score. And you know what? There's been some real head-scratching decisions. They're struggling to score, and now they're going to take out one of their best goal scorers for tonight. There's lots of people, and this is not in hindsight, because there's lots of people that were questioning some of the players that were left off the roster to begin with. And offensive guys. What do you make of this team? How much is it on management and who they picked, and how much is it on the coaching staff and who they're actually playing in games and in situations?
Great question, because I don't think this is just about construction. You talk to people in and around the team and longtime, junior observers here, and they'll say it's not just construction, it's also deployment. So whether it's, Anholt's decisions on this one, and whether it's Dave Cameron's decisions on who to play where, again, I don't know that we can fully have the conversation until Canada is out. And let's face it, they might lose tonight. Czechs are a good team. I know they played in the weaker pool, but Czechs are a good team. And Michael Ravel's a second-round draft pick prospect for Utah. He's a really good goaltender playing UMass. I can recall, last year, beginning of the draft cycle, it's like Ravel's probably the best goaltender in the draft last year. Like that was the expectation for him. He's been much more mature this year. He's played great. he is capable of stealing a game. So don't think for 1 second here that Team Canada might not get Michael Harabled tonight. But if when it does happen, then I think we can really sink our teeth into what you're talking about. But for the purposes of the conversation, I really do think it's both. And the one thing that I come back to again today, so Porter Martone is going back in. He'll probably be a top 3, top 4 pick in the draft in Los Angeles. Carson Rehkop comes out. He's a Seattle Kraken prospect. They play on a line together with the Brampton Steelheads in 21 games or 20 games together, because they play on the same line, 42 goals. So and this isn't a secret to Dave Cameron. Dave Cameron coaches in the OHL for the Ottawa 67s. He sees this on a consistent basis. He knows the potential is there. And in a short tournament like the World Juniors is, where you need instant chemistry and you can't score, and that's been the story of Team Canada, can't score and bad penalties, discipline, a major issue for Canada. If you can't score, would you not want to try to find pairs that can score? And you have a pair in Martone and Rehkop that have been shown that they can do it. Should you not at least try it instead of swapping one out for the other? Rehkop's out and Porter Martone is in. And I don't think I'm in the minority here, Jason. A lot of us are looking at this and saying, why would you not take someone further down the lineup and take them out and see what Martone and Rehkop can do on this international stage, because they're able to do it in their junior league?
Yeah, well, hey, I totally get it, man. Like you look at Yakimchuk. A lot of people wondering, hey, maybe this is a defenseman who should have been here from the start. Michael Misa, for goodness sakes, I get he's young, but at times, it looks like Hockey Canada, their management brass, there's a little bit of, well, we're looking more at age than ability, and we're automatically assuming the young guys just can't get it done. We're not going to give them the opportunity. It's a little strange.
It is, although I think they would all admit that one of the things that's really hurt Canada here is the injury to Matthew Schaefer. Who's one of the youngest on the team, and how much different does this Team Canada play if Matthew Schaefer isn't hurt? Like I do understand the age issue, although having said that, USA may win this whole thing and they're returning 10, from last year where they won gold. I do understand the age thing. I just wonder, because the weird thing about it is we kept hearing from the team's brass that we know this age group better than any other age group. We've been working on this one for a long time. There's the return of the summer showcase and naming the coaching staff early and all these things. Like, it wasn't supposed to be like this, because they had done all the things coming off the disappointment last year to prevent this from happening. And, I was having a conversation with someone, Jason, I think you'll find a home with this one. Having a conversation with someone who previously worked with Hockey Canada, who talked about an identity issue with this team. And it's been a Canadian identity for the longest time. And that is controlled aggression. Like, this Team Canada at this tournament has always been aggressive, but it's been a team that, as aggressive as they've been, they've understood where the line was. Okay. And the example that I brought up on my show today was Steve Downey. I still think that one of the best things that I've seen from a coach in the World Juniors for Team Canada was when Brent Sutter put Steve Downey on the team. And we were all saying to ourselves, Brent, what are you doing? Wild kid. Here come the penalties. Here comes the undisciplined play. Here comes hurting kids. Here comes the sideshow. Here comes the distraction. Brent Sutter had Downey walk that line. God. Perfect. Remember how USA would abuse Downey, trying to get him into doing something dumb? And he was like, whistle to whistle. He was aggressive. He was Steve Downey. Let's not forget he's skilled too. And he was rough. But then the whistle blew and nothing.
Yeah.
Americans would cross-check him. Nothing. Punch in the face. Nothing. Skate off. That was the exact line. I remember talking to Peter DeBoer about him once when Pete was coaching the Kitchener Rangers and he traded for Downey with Peterborough. And I said, like, why are you taking this kid? You're going to the Memorial Cup and he's wild. He's crazy. Penalties. He said, Jeff, you're not a coach. You don't understand. As a coach, I'd rather have to tame a tiger than paint stripes on a kitty cat. You can always calm someone down. You can't always build them up. And Team Canada always had those guys. We haven't seen those guys on this team. As a matter of fact, we've seen the opposite. We've seen the lazy elbow. We've seen the after the whistle cross check, the undisciplined Canadian hockey players. This person I was talking to the morning, I said, where's that Canadian identity of whistle to whistle, play hard, be aggressive. The whistle goes and you realize this is a short tournament. I don't want to crush my team with penalties. We're not seeing that.
No. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I love the saying, I'd much rather tame a stallion than whip a donkey. And, and that's exactly for guys. You
like that. Yeah.
You have a lot of players that, and I remember Brent, I've talked to Brent many times, and he had a very long conversation about that. He said, see, this is what I respect for your game. This, you can do this and you will help us a lot. And I don't care about points. Obviously that's nice, but you can help it. It's if you're undisciplined, then you don't help us. And most of those guys, when you have the right coach who outlines it and says, here's your role, shows you value in your role, those guys are hugely important on every team. And you look in the playoffs, teams that have a guy who can irritate the opposition, be physical, be intimidating, but not be undisciplined. That there's huge value in that. And Canada's, they can't score. They're I guess the most frustrating part for me was the coach when he was asked about that. Wow, he doesn't want to say anybody. Like he says, well, there's nothing I can do about it. What are you talking about? You're the coach. What do you mean there's nothing you can do about it? You're the one who controls the ice time. Like I tell on our team, guys, we take too many. If you keep taking too many undisciplined penalties, you have to miss one shift, which for an 11-year-old seems like an eternity. And guess what? All of a sudden they do it. And you're telling me at the World Juniors, the coach has no say? Like, that was the worst answer I've ever heard.
I understand what he's getting at in some respects, but it was just such a bad look. Like when I saw and heard the quote, I thought, no, Dave, it's not you that can't do something about it. It's me. I can't do something about it because I'm not the coach. You are. Like, I'll tell you what, David Carl sat down Ryan Leonard, right? Like, again, we just talked about how Ryan Leonard should be in the sat down Ryan Leonard. Like, you are able to withhold ice time here. I don't care if it's, Easton Cowan or Luca Pinelli who plays for you at the Ottawa 67s. You do have that ability, and it does send a message, and it can correct players' behaviors. And for Dave Cameron to say they know what's a penalty, it's going to be their decision whether they take it or not. It's a short tournament. I can't deal with discipline. First of all, I can't believe that came out of a coach's mouth. Like, even like, I can understand, okay, it's game 32 of an 82 game schedule in the NHL. We're not going to be too worried about a couple of bad penalties, but in a short tournament like this, like, you can't afford it. Like, as a coach, you have to do something about that, don't you? Like, you have to at least address it. Even if you're not going to, just say, like, it's been addressed, we've talked about it, it stays in the room. But to go out publicly and throw your hands up in the air and say, I don't know, I just work here. Like, that to me is stunning. And just such a bad look that it looks like you're just letting the kids go and do whatever you want the kids to do. And after every loss, we'll shuffle one player in and one player out. I'm with you, Jason. I think we all were. We're stunned at that concession.
Yeah, no, for sure. Lastly, Jeff, the Pacific Division. I think right now it's the best division in the NHL. You got 3 of the top 6 teams in Vegas, LA, and Edmonton, Calgary and Vancouver. It's the only division with 5 teams in the top 15, and the Canucks are there with all these injuries and all the drama and everything else. So my question to you is, with the injuries, Peterson and Hughes, can Calgary stay in this longer than we think, and should Vancouver fans be concerned?
If I'm Vancouver, I should be concerned. To me, as much as the story with Vancouver is the soap opera between JT and Elias Pettersson, and every day that it goes on, there are more players that come out to reaffirm, like, oh yeah, this is an issue, and Brad Richardson is the most recent example about that. So there just keeps like Jason, doesn't it feel like every day there's another log being thrown on this fire?
Oh yeah,
of this, like, and it's just not going to stop, even though the bigger issue for the Vancouver Canucks is the injury to Quinn Hughes. Oh, like, and in a lot of ways, this to me cements his MVP status, because when you can see just how different Vancouver is without Quinn Hughes, it is stunning. And that is the definition of the Hart Trophy and most valuable to the team. I got to hand it to the Calgary Flames. I really do. Like, I don't want to sound condescending again, an old plucky team hanging around and all that, but this really shouldn't be the program. I know you don't want to, have your team, losing deliberately and draft picks and all that. And we all know what's at stake with, where you end up and who does what with the Monahan pick. But I don't know that the Calgary Flames have the staying power. And if you're Craig Conroy approaching the deadline, teams are going to come knocking, teams are going to come offering. And I think there will be some players who will say, and through their agent, obviously, look, this isn't going anywhere right now. This is good that you're sort of hanging around the playoff picture here, but my client needs blah, 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 blah. And I think eventually they will fall out of it. And I want to add, because I love watching the Pacific, and listen, it was fun watching the Kings and Andre Ligas get his first goal yesterday against the New Jersey Devils, first career goal. I'll throw one other thing in there about the Pacific. I don't know the last time I was so excited to see on a night in, night out basis, a team that's as bad as the San Jose Sharks is play hockey. I love watching this team. Celebrini is a delight. Askarov on Saturday against Calgary was phenomenal. Dustin Wolf was one save better, but you can just it's wonderful to watch because you can see how much fun the team is actually having. Like, they're bad. Like, make no mistake about it. San Jose Sharks are a bad team, but they're just fun to watch. And for the Pacific, and again, like, you want to put this guy in this division? It just got even better. The San Jose Sharks get the first overall pick again, and they pick up Matthew Schaefer, and you put Matthew Schaefer in the Pacific Division. This team is going to get a whole lot better that much quicker to cement what you're just saying, which is it's the best division in hockey right now.
Jeff, as always, buddy, great stuff. We will chat with you next Thursday. Have an awesome week.
Are you nervous for tonight, Jason Gregor?
For Canada? No, I don't think so. I think they'll find a way to get by Czechia, but after that, I think Sweden's next, then US if they beat Sweden. So the Swedish game, I would not be very confident in. I'll say that.
No, I think Axel Sandin Pellikka may be the best player at this tournament. My question is, if you're the Detroit Red Wings, do you try to bring him right from Ottawa to Detroit, or do you let him go back? Do you just try to smuggle him right away after the tournament's done?
Keep him
so
away
good.
From fire. Keep him away from the tire.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. I get it. All right. Thanks, bud. You be good.
Thanks. You betcha. That's Jeff Marek from the sheet at dayofthefaceoff.com. Quick break. We'll come back. We got lots to talk about the orders. Lots of text flying in. 833-401-1440 in our UL inbox. We'll get to that and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit edmontonexpocenter.com today.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
It's your last chance to shop Boxing Day deals at The Brick. Start your new year off right and save up to 40% off mattresses, up to $960 off sectionals, up to $600 off big screen televisions, and up to $300 off select kitchen appliances when you buy 3 or more. Plus, pick up a Queen Springwall Eurotop for the price of a twin. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Are you watching the interest rates these days? Of course you are. Paying less interest leaves money in your pocket. That's why St. Albert Dodge is happy to tell you that right now they have 0% financing on virtually all new 2024 models. hundreds to choose from. Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. Dodge Durango and Hornet. Ram 1500, 2500, 3500, all with 0% financing. Why pay interest? Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com. Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Delicious news. The McDonald's meals you love are now $9.99 every day. Grab your faves like the Big Mac, 6-piece McNugget, McChicken, or Filet-O-Fish with medium fries and a medium fountain drink for $9.99 each plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Edmonton, Alberta, and the surrounding area. Prices exclude delivery.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton's. The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, welcome back. It is the Thursday edition of the Gregor Show, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. How you doing? Of course, the Oilers practice today. Look for a similar lineup that you saw on New Year's Eve. Stu Skinner will get the start tomorrow. You will have then Calvin Pickard will start on Saturday in Seattle. Oilers, same 6 defense. They only have 6 defense. Up front, the lines, what you see in practice, it looks like Derek Ryan's not going to play. He'll play in Seattle, which is no surprise. That's where he's from. So he'll play the game, the second half of the back-to-back on Saturday. And the lines you had, Hyman was on a line with Janmark and Kapanen. You had Connor Brown, who has 10 points in his last 9 games with McDavid and Nugent Hopkins. And I did ask Chris Knobloch about the Zach Hyman, McDavid. They've pretty much been stapled together. They've been a great duo for a long time here in Edmonton. And he said, yes, Zach Hyman will get back there. It's, it's a little bit of a reward for Connor Brown, but also he's hoping that, Zach Hyman should be able to score, and add some scoring elsewhere for them. But, he has an opportunity to mix and match some combinations. And we've seen this. He does it, and he's done it successfully in the past. So I don't think all 82 games you have to run with the same lines. I know that they had Nugent Hopkins and Henrique as to start the game on Tuesday as the third and fourth line centers, and that lasted like 1 period, and then they went back to the Janmark, him playing the middle, which shows me like they're looking for a fourth line center. So here's the situation I see for Edmonton. I don't believe Evander Kane, the Oilers are going to have a plan that outlines him as a top 6 forward when he comes back from his injury. I just don't think it's realistic to expect that from him. Right? He was banged up last year for much of it. Now he finally had all the surgeries. He'll come back. What will he be? Honestly, I don't know. So you'd be better off to say, hey, we think Evander Kane can be a bottom 6 left winger for us. He's going to add some physicality, chip in a few goals. Great. That's what it would be for this year. Next year, different story. You would hope after a summer of training could be a little bit better. But in this case, I think it's realistic to look at Evander Kane as that. And so if you take Nugent Hopkins and Henrique and play him as your third and fourth line centers, the Oilers don't have a top 6 left winger that I think they really trust and who works. Jeff Skinner does not work. And I was watching Skinner's game. I had a little extra time. My wife was pretty sick over the holidays. So at night I'd be, kind of quarantine her away. Well, not quarantine. I don't like to get sick if someone else is sick. So, I had more time. I was going back and watching some of the tape on Jeff Skinner. And what I noticed the most with Skinner is early in the year when he was playing in the top 6, he wasn't very good. The one thing that Ryan Nugent Hopkins does exceptionally well is watch how good he is at getting McDavid the puck in space with speed through the neutral zone. Jeff Skinner will overhandle it. And he didn't have a lot of time. He didn't play 15 or 30 games. I get it. But he never did that. And it actually had a lot of giveaways. So I think the Skinner top 6 experiment in Edmonton, it's not happening. So I'm not going to hold on to it. I'm just going to say, I think the organization, either you're going to keep Nugent Hopkins there, which is fine. Or if you want to play Nugent Hopkins and Henrique behind McDavid and Draisaitl, which would be really good center depth, then they'd have to go out and acquire a top 6 left winger because they don't have another one. Pod Colson's a heck of a player. He does so many little things well. He's not a top 6 productive player yet as far as offensive production goes. But man, he's smart, reliable defensively, does a lot of the small things. But when you're a top 6 forward, one of the big things is you got to score. That's just a fact, right? At some point, you have to be able to produce. And so he's not there yet. That's fine. But, not every team always has like 6 bona fide top 6 producing guys. So he's okay there. I don't love it, but I think there's potential there that, he could become a 20-goal man down the road. But for now, if you're going to play Nugent Hopkins and Henrique at center, then you need a left winger. So that's an acquisition cost. Now, the cheaper acquisition cost is to keep Nugent Hopkins there and just go out and get a 4th-line center. I think it's obvious that Derek Ryan's time as the 4th-line center in Edmonton is no longer here. Janmark's been playing center. They're switching guys around just because, hey, Derek Ryan's had an unreal career. 600 NHL games for a guy who was a rookie at 29. It's amazing. It's amazing. But it's kind of past. So they have options. Number 1, you can try Noah Philp. Give him, 10, 15 games before the deadline. See what he does. That's a legit option. Costs you nothing other than a roster move, but you don't have to give up any players. You don't have to give up any picks. That's what you do. So that's one option. Or you go and acquire a 4th-line center, which is another very viable option. And so that's where I think those are, if I look at my crystal ball for the Oilers lineup, I see Kane when he returns in your bottom 6 left winger spot. He's taking Jeff Skinner's spot. And then they can get a 4th-line center, right? I could easily see that. Or if they want to keep the centers they have, then they'd have to go out and get a top line or a top 6 left winger. I don't see any other option there. On the back end, they have 2 options. You can get a second pair right D-man, or you can just have Brett Kulak play there because he's kind of splitting his time with Nurse or with Emerson. And then you could look at a 3rd pair lefty. Troy Stetcher to fill in, highly competitive guy. He's chipped. Troy Stetcher, for what you're paying him, he's been giving you great value. I don't think he's really been talked about enough. Like, that was a trade that's worked out exceptionally well for Edmonton. Stetcher has given you, he's playing solid every game. Not spectacular, but solid. And at really good value. So I have no issue with that signing whatsoever. And he can get you through, but I think you're looking to upgrade in your blue line. So those are the 3 spots I see as potential. You can get a top 6 left winger. Then you keep your guys, Henrique and Nuge, if you wanted them as centers, 3rd and 4th lines. Or you go out and you get a 4th-line center. Kane becomes your bottom 6 left winger. McGregor, Kane still got 24 goals last year while hurt. Lots of hits. Yeah, I agree. He was banged up. I have no problem with Vander Kane, but I'm not going to build my roster for a guy coming off that extensive amount of injuries that he had. Right? He had hernias on both sides. He had like 5 different surgeries he outlined. Right? You had some tears, internally in his core. Right? He had both hernias on both sides repaired. Like, I honestly don't know how good he can be. So I would go in with a low bar expectation. And if he overachieves it, well, that's outstanding. But I think the mistake you can make in evaluation is saying, well, I think Evander Kane, because he's done it in the past, will be a top 6 guy. And then what happens if he isn't? Well, then what do you do? So I'd rather say, hey, we have Evander Kane as a bottom 6 left winger. If he comes in and plays great, well, that's a bonus. That is a bonus. So that's the way I look at it for the Oilers. Hey, guys, what about, I see some sites have Skinner listed as a center. He's not a center. He's never played center. Any site that lists him as a center, it's like Jordan Eberle, for whatever reason, is being listed as a center on NHL.com. It's asinine. He's never played center. I shouldn't say never. He's played like 5 games of center. He was a right winger. I don't know why they do that sometimes. Like, it's the NHL. The own league site still can't list the basic positions of some of their players. I know it's maybe first world problems complaint, but it does bother me that Jordan Eberle is listed as center. So trust me, Jeff Skinner, not a center, never a center, not an option as a center, no chance he's a center. 0. Derek Ryan would be a better center option than Jeff Skinner. Let's just make that abundantly clear. 247, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. We'll take a quick break, and hey, we'll talk about a few surprising moves coming up next.
Some might like to play hide and seek or even that Where's Waldo game, but out of sight, out of mind is never something GS Construction ever says. Yes, what's underground might be out of sight for everyone, but it's never out of mind for GS Construction because it's not fun and games ensuring Edmonton's underground infrastructure works for you. We take our job very seriously, and even though we may look like we're pretending to be groundhogs, we're really keeping things running smoothly. To find out more, including new job opportunities, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The holiday break was made for Oil Kings Hockey at Rogers Place. Family fun that's second to none, starting at just $20 a seat.
This Family Fun Sunday in Ice District, your Edmonton Oil Kings are back at it against the Lethbridge Hurricanes.
Enjoy the kids' fun zone with face painting and bouncy castles.
And at every home game, score Calmont Kids food combos for $10 or less. The value is king-sized.
Edmonton Oil Kings, Lethbridge Hurricanes, Sunday afternoon at 4.
Great family entertainment at Rogers Place starts at just $20 a seat. Save on day of game pricing now at oilkings.ca.
When picking a New Year's resolution, try to avoid things you have no influence over.
Like bringing home the cup? That would be awesome.
But completely outside your control. Instead, pick something you can control, like bringing home some Wilhauk beef jerky.
That would also be awesome. But what if we brought the cup home to Canada and it was filled with Wilhauk beef jerky?
Okay, I'll allow it.
Wilhauk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today because you don't win cups with salad.
New year, new you. Let's kickstart 2025 by making better life choices, starting with quality pizza from Papa John's. Right now, get 25% off any regular menu price pizza with promo code BETTER25. A deal so good, it might just count as self-care. But hurry, resolutions wait for no one. Offer ends January 5th. Order now at papajohns.ca with promo code BETTER25. Better ingredients, better pizza, better get you some Papa John's.
Today on Hey Culligan, how smart is your water? Here's Tracy.
Hey, Culligan. I think my water might be dumb.
Good news, Tracy. Your water's not dumb. It's just not talking to you.
You can make my water talk.
No, but the new Culligan Smart Drinking Water System can talk to your phone to tell you when your water filters need changing and help you meet drinking water goals.
Now that's some brilliant H2O.
You said it, Tracy, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at culligan.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Better holiday start with better ingredients, better pizza from Papa John's. Get 25% off any regular price pizza with code word BETTER25 at papajohns.ca.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$250. Welcome back, Gregor. Connor Halley. Good to be back, baby. Of course, had a few days off, which is nice. Hope you enjoyed Christmas break. holidays and New Year. And I know some of you have taken today and tomorrow off. Good for you. Love it. And of course, back to the real grind next week. But the Oilers will get back in the swing of things. A very busy schedule coming up for the Oilers. So they play Friday and Saturday. Then they will fly across the country. Well, they're going from Edmonton. Then they go to Seattle. Then they go all the way to Boston. Then Pittsburgh. Then Chicago. Make their way kind of back to Edmonton for one game. Next, this coming Monday, a week, the 13th, is when they're home for one game. Then back to Minnesota, Colorado, and Vancouver before they have a 6-game homestand to end the month of January. And I think it's February 1st is the final of the 6 straight home games. So tough sked here for the Oilers, but sometimes this team plays better when they play more games in a short period of time. And they got a mixture of, like, you got Anaheim and Seattle, but then you've got, top teams at the end in the middle there in Colorado and Minnesota. That'll be a real tough back-to-back. Pittsburgh's actually playing quite well, although the Oilers have actually beat them for fun here for the last 5 years. So we'll see if that can continue or not. But with LA playing great and Vegas playing great, the Oilers got to keep rolling for the next 2 weeks to stay in the mix. And then their schedule slows down a bit, and they're at home for an extended time. So see if they can take advantage. Now let's get to our basketball report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home to no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter at legacyheating.ca. Host of the basketball show, Paul Sir, joins us. It returns next Saturday, January 11th. And Paul, there will be lots to discuss. I want to get your thoughts on why do you think there's such a massive drop? Like, I've heard LeBron James talk about it and other players. The ratings for the NBA have really tanked. And what do you think the league can do about it?
Boy, it's a great question. They have tanked. And what I find interesting about it is that the NBA has been on such a roll for a long time, a lot of years. And to have this kind of drop off, I mean, when you look at the numbers, and I don't have the stats in front of me, Jason, but it's really substantial. So from a league standpoint, from a broadcasting standpoint, an advertising standpoint, you have to be concerned. But I think LeBron was one of the voices that spoke out and said, we're just taking too many threes. And really and truly, a lot of the time, as a complete basketball nut like I am, it really is unwatchable. It is YMCA basketball, up and down, chucking threes. Anybody gets a glimmer of an opening at the rim, they're taking the three right away. So I think our analytics nerds, and I've talked about that a number of times when we've discussed. I think they're a blight on the basketball world, because people have listened to them. They've listened to these idiots, and they've made the game less interesting, more generic, and more predictable. So first thing, show a little creativity in the game and go away from just the pick and roll and shooting the three. So that's the starting point. And from there, I think they have to pick their intensity up, because one thing that's really noticeable is the lack of effort and the lack of defense in so many NBA games.
Yeah. Well, you're right there. It's very much, you come down, boom, guy stops at the top of the three, shoots, either goes in or misses. Now the other team comes down, 2 passes, guys at the top of the key from 3-point range, shoots. And yeah, there's not a lot of battles. There's not a lot else going on. I do wonder at times when you have, bench players making $15 million, if that turns off some people. Like the stars in the NHL make, big money. Huge money. And I know that huge money is $775K. That's still a lot of money for the average person, but there's lots of business owners and lots of other people that make that much. There's very few people that make, as a super depth guy on your bench making 5, 10, 12 million bucks. And I do wonder if that's at all part of it.
I think it is. I think it's a great point, to be honest. I think in many respects, the NBA has lost its cachet of people being able to identify with not the bench players, but the stars themselves. I mean, there's an arrogance among a lot of the stars in the league that makes them really hard to relate to.
Yes.
And to look at and take seriously. Like, really, you're making that much money and you can't, you're buying into load management. I mean, really?
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me. So for the average person, I think the NBA has become too elitist, and they've really, with the style of play, they've really lost, I think, a lot of the soul of the league, of these hardworking guys grinding it out, doing anything that they can to win. And I watch some old basketball occasionally. All the way, I was recently watching something from the 60s. I was watching UCLA play with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he was Lou Alcindor as a sophomore in college. I mean, the basketball's changed so much, Jason. There's no doubt the athletes today are better. They're better in virtually every respect. But one thing that you do notice is there was just a sincere effort that was going on at all times out there. And that certainly seems to be lacking at a lot of the NBA games right now.
Yeah, no, that is completely fair. And so, I wonder now, obviously their ratings have dropped. They're not like still awful. They've just dropped from where they've been in the past and, significantly. So that's a concern. And, there are still some great storylines and, you get to the playoffs and it's definitely, more enjoyable to watch. There's no question about it. But, you look at the teams now, and we're over a third of the way through the season, over 30 games played for pretty much every team in the league. And, the Knicks are back near the top. They've actually tied the Celtics in wins. The Knicks have won 9 in a row, Paul. And they made the big offseason trade, and it seems like it took a while for them to get comfortable, but are the Knicks now a legit team in your eyes now that it seems that they've kind of, figured out where guys fit in with this new roster?
I think so. Karl Anthony Towns has been, I think, completely rejuvenated in New York for whatever reason, whether it's just agreeable with the chemistry on the team or with Tom Thibodeau, or it's got to be a combination of a variety of elements. But the way the Knicks fit together, OG Anunoby has been uncharacteristically healthy for most of the season. That's a big help. And the guard play has been fantastic. They found a way to really work together. And I mean, Towns is putting up massive numbers, not just on the offensive side, but also on the rebounding side. And his 3-point shooting percentage is incredible. So Towns has emerged as I'd say borderline superstar on a team that really works well together. And then you add in Jalen Brunson and the role players that they have on the team. They really seem to have something good going there. So I do believe in this roster, if it's healthy, that they can be a legitimate threat when the playoffs come in the Eastern Conference.
Well, I think so for sure. I don't think there's much to debate. I like their team a lot. In the West, you look at, OKC's been pretty much the class all year long. They're 27-5. They've won 12 in a row. Like,
Lord, I know.
I don't really see a weakness on that team. Do you?
No. They've got depth at every position, and they have, it goes back and forth about who you might say the MVP in the NBA right now would be. But if I had to choose today, it would have to be Gilgeous-Alexander. And most of the year I've said Jokic, and of course you can make a strong case for him as well as Antetokounmpo with the numbers they're putting up. But if you want to look at game performance and leading your team, which to becoming the class of the West, the very tough Western Conference, you have to look at Gilgeous-Alexander and say, this is a superstar of like head and shoulders above most superstars. But the role players around him, they have toughness, they've got shooting, they can really defend, and they have depth. So yeah, they are the class of the Western Conference. And they're, of course, the next two teams behind them are surprises as well, with Memphis being as good as they have been, and Houston also surprising everybody with their record and their performance through the first 33 games of the season. So the Western Conference has really been shaken up this year, and it's a lot of fun to watch, to see these new teams emerging.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the local scene. Grant McEwen and Nate and the U of A, kind of how their season's going thus far.
Well, Grant McEwen under Adika Peter McNeely in his rookie season as their head coach after playing all 6 seasons for the Edmonton Stingers. Adik is such a great story, Jason, because he comes from, like, you talk about a family of coaches, dad, brothers. I mean, this guy is just perfectly suited to be a coach. They're off to a 6-4 start, so I think they've exceeded expectations. U of A, 3-5, not a great start for Barnaby Craddock. We're used to the Golden Bears being a lot tougher than they have been thus far this season. But the Western Conference, or the Alberta Conference in Canada West, has the number 2 team in Canada in the University of Calgary, who is very good. And Canada West has the number 1 team in UVic, who is undefeated and really so far has been head and shoulders above everybody else in the country.
Yeah.
So the U of A is in a really tough conference. MacEwan continues to struggle along at 1-7. They just have not been able to figure it out yet in the youth sports world. Hopefully on the men's side, they'll come around. Women's side, they're struggling as well at MacEwan. The Pandas, I believe, are 6-2 in second place in Canada West. So a little bit better for them. And then Kira over at Nate, Kira Lyons is doing a good job, and their team is on the upswing as well. So good things happening, but the Golden Bears men's team in particular are in a rebuilding year, and they've got some good talent coming in next year. So I would expect Barnaby to get through this year and be back more in the thick of things in the years to come.
Awesome stuff, Paul. As always, we appreciate it. We look forward to the show on the 11th. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again next week.
All right. Happy New Year, Jason.
There you go. That's Paul Skur from the basketball show on Sports 1440. We'll return. We got lots of texts. Oiler fans are fired up. So we're looking at some options for the Oilers. We'll get into that. To me, there's still one obvious target that I would have. Not the biggest name, right? But you got to remember the position. So for a specific position, this is who I would target. Well, actually, there's 2. Tell you there. We've talked about them before, but nothing's changed for me. I think those are still the first 2 choices. After that, there's a few others. We can get to that after Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire, where you get quality tires and quality service. And not only that, hey, you got any issues with your vehicle, they can fix that as well. FountainTire.com.
The Sports 1440 update.
$12 games on the ice tonight in the NHL. The Panthers hosting the Canes. Bruins take on the Rangers. Red Wings up against the Jackets. Caps host the Wild. The Maple Leafs head to New York, taking on the Islanders. Stars host the Sens. Jets up against the Ducks. Avs host the Sabres. Utah taking on the Flames and the Canucks in Seattle. World Juniors Canada in action tonight, taking on Czechia. They'll get going at 5:30. Earlier today, Sweden got past Latvia 3-2. Switzerland falls to the States 7-2. And we're a few minutes away from puck drop as Finland up against Slovakia. In the association this evening, you've got the Heat hosting the Pacers, Celtics in Minnesota. Thunder welcome the Clippers to OKC, and the Warriors taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. Bowl season, college football playoffs right now. Georgia leads Notre Dame 3-0. Notre Dame driving downfield later tonight. The Gator Bowl, you have Ole Miss hosting Duke. And PWHL Boston Fleet head to Minnesota, taking on the Frost. Puck drop 5:30. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll hear from Stephen Ellis, a daily faceoff, and speed things up in the Cantor Racing Report with Colin Livingston. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Mr. Rooter pets a kitty cat. Okay, now just remove the trap. Oh, now who's this? Do you want to help Mr. Rooter with his big old claw? Good idea, Mr. Whiskers. I will use the snake. It looks like somebody has been dropping toy mice and orange hairballs in here. I wonder who. Don't worry. It's our secret.
To get your clogs fixed right meow, trust one plumber, Mr. Rooter.
Vimy and Donnan Hockey are dedicated to skill development for all hockey players. If you know a student athlete interested in growing as a person and a player, attend the Vimy Open House on January 16th from 6 to 8 p.m. Beginner or experienced, this program nurtures and develops a student athlete's skills in a supportive environment. The Vimy Open House is a great opportunity for prospective student athletes entering grades 7 through 12 to see what Vimy Hockey and all of the other sport academies at Vimy have to offer. Visit vimyridge.epsv.ca for more info.
Didn't get a holiday bonus? At Wolf GMC Buick, we have the bonus you need. Get 0% financing on our most popular trucks like the Sierra half-ton crew cab during GMC's Canada-wide clearance. Or select up to $8,500 on a number of Sierras. If you're looking for heavy duty, we have that too. Get GMC employee pricing on our Sierra HDs, Yukons, and the all-new GMC Hummer EV. And seeing it's the holidays, a $500 bonus on select 2024 and 2025 models. But when the holidays are done, so are these deals. Get to Wolf GMC Buick today.
New year, new you. Let's kickstart 2025 by making better life choices, starting with quality pizza from Papa John's. Right now, get 25% off any regular menu price pizza with promo code BETTER25. A deal so good, it might just count as self-care. But hurry, resolutions wait for no one. Offer ends January 5th. Order now at papajohns.ca with promo code BETTER25. Better ingredients, better pizza, better get you some Papa John's.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the only place to call for heating your home. So when it's time to replace your old furnace, call Legacy. Or for 24-hour repair with no overtime rates. Legacy even heats your shower with hot water tanks.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
And with no interest and no payments for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
He's bringing the spirit and sound of the East Coast to the prairies. River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents Alan Doyle. Live in the venue January 17th. Tickets at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Get ready to rock with ZZ Top. River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents ZZ Top live in the venue June 6, 2025. Tickets at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Customers rely on you to keep their refrigeration systems running smoothly. So when they have downtime, you have stress time. Time to call on Easy Chill Rentals. Easy Chill will help ensure your customers' trust during maintenance or emergency repair downtime, so they stay cool. Easy Chill provides mobile walk-in coolers and freezers to customers all over Western Canada. For sales and rentals, don't sweat it, just chill with Easy Chill Rentals. Visit easychillrentals.com today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by eWell. eWell.ca is your power play partner with a new website that puts the power in your hands with 24/7 ordering and shipping within Edmonton and across Alberta. Score an account today at ewel.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 3 o'clock. How are you? Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. As we are heating things up in January, lots of, heck, you got lots going on. NHL, NBA, NFL, final week of the regular season, and the playoffs begins next week. You got the college football wrapping up with their playoffs, all the big bowl games coming up this week, and then into semifinal and the final for that. You also have just around the corner LPGA golf teeing off this weekend. So, man, it's a pretty good time. Pretty good time for sports, of course. WHL, Junior A, BCHL, all of them are rock and roll in the midway points of their season. You have the World Juniors right now, which has a high level of frustration based on the text line at 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our UL inbox. I can understand why many of you are frustrated with some of the decisions by A, who wasn't on the team, and then B, now that those are on the team and they're struggling to score, they're not really doing. Some of their decisions are definitely head-scratching. There's no question. And like we said it before the tournament started, Dickinson should have been running the power play because he runs that power play from that position in the regular season. Like, you have such a limited time to put a team together. There are benefits. It's why I've said from the get-go, the Zach Hyman exclusion from Team Canada makes no sense to me. Don't tell me you're basing it off of 19 games where a guy was snake-bitten scoring. Because if you are, then it's ridiculous, short-sighted, small sample evaluation. Zach Hyman just came off a season where he scored 70 goals between the regular season and the playoffs. 70. He had more playoff goals. He had as many playoff goals as Bennett, Hagel, Stone. Who am I missing? Bennett, Hagel, Stone, Konechny, and Jarvis combined. And because of 19 games, now he's not on the team? What? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So now there's still, at over a month and a bit, there could be an injury to see a line change, but that's not an excuse. It shows you how recency bias can impact anybody, even at the highest levels. And, ultimately it won't matter. I know some Oilers fans, we get texts there, hey guys, I'd rather Hyman not play. He's going to be more rested. I can get that. I totally understand. And that's a total valid point, but that doesn't excuse the decision. If you want to say it benefits the Oilers, I would agree with that. But it doesn't excuse the original decision on not picking him to the team. Like, because you can't defend it. Oh, well, he had 19 games where he didn't score. Yeah, well, look at his shots, look at his chances. So I had a little bit of a funk. Okay. And then what happened since? Oh, that's right. He has the most goals of anybody who was. Now, I don't include McDavid or McKinnon. Those guys were already on the team. They were making the team. Hyman's not taking their spot. So I used the guys who I thought. I didn't even include Cirelli because he's a fourth-line center. Hyman doesn't play center. So I understood that one. So I just went through all the wingers. Say, here's the guys that you picked. I'm not even disparaging any of them. I'm just saying, what did Hyman do that makes it a good decision not to have him on the team? I don't understand it at all. So it's like sometimes they'll try to find a way to convince themselves that, wow, this guy isn't very good. I don't get it. It's kind of like, it's very different because, the MVP is a total different thing because it's only based on this year. If you look at for the NHL and even for the, for the NFL, and even when you get to the NHL voting, who would you say today, Connor, if I give you one quarterback, which quarterback are you taking on your team right now today?
Lamar Jackson.
Based on career.
Career.
You're taking Pat Mahomes all day.
Yeah.
There's no debate at Pat Mahomes. Now, does Pat Mahomes deserve to be the MVP this season? No, he does not. Right? Because it's based on this year. But I still would take Pat Mahomes on my team. He doesn't deserve to be it because of statistics and everything else. That's fine. But he's still the quarterback. When the playoffs started, every team, and Connor's a diehard Charger fan, and he would still take Mahomes. And that's the reality. It's like, who would you take on your team when the playoffs begin? You take Connor McDavid. Now, he might not win the MVP. It doesn't mean he's not the best player in the game, but he just wasn't the MVP this season. It's like people can't understand that two things can happen simultaneously. Patrick Mahomes doesn't deserve to be the MVP this year. Doesn't mean he's not the best quarterback in the league. He's just not having the best season this year.
Not even a Pro Bowl.
No.
But you're still, when the playoffs start, who do you want? Who's the guy who's been there before? Who's done it? Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. And, Pro Bowl, because look at Lamar Jackson's season. Lamar Jackson is the first quarterback in NFL history to pass for 4,000 yards and rush for over 800. No one's ever done that. He also, if he can throw one touchdown pass this weekend and no interceptions, he'll be the first quarterback to pass for 40 touchdowns and only have 4 interceptions. He's having it's funny. Remember when Lamar Jackson was the reason he dropped the season, right? He's a runner. Pardon? Look at his passing numbers. What do you mean he's a runner? He can run. There's no question, but he's a pretty good passer as well. And, I'm fascinated. If I look at it today in the NHL, in the Hart Trophy race, you've got Nathan McKinnon, you got Leon Draisaitl, and I think you have Nikita Kucherov. Those would be the top three. Now, that can change because we're not even at the halfway point of the season. Right? You would throw in Connor McDavid's obviously going to be in the conversation. Right? I think Kirill Kaprizov, he might even be ahead of Kucherov potentially today. He's gotten banged up lately, so that obviously doesn't help his cause, depending on how long he's going to be out. He's not playing again their next game, so that hurts him for sure. Right? You look at the Norris Trophy race. Quinn Hughes is banged up now, so that's not going to help. But I'll tell you right now, Zach Werenski, if I had to vote today, right now, today, I'd vote Zach Werenski. He's having an unreal, and by the way, he doesn't get to play with any of the skill guys that Makar Hughes play with. He's playing more minutes. He also plays on the penalty kill, which Hughes doesn't. So when I'm looking at the Norris, I'm looking at everything. And Werenski's 5-on-5, he's power play, he's even strength, he's penalty kill. He's doing it all. And like their power play points are pretty much the same. 19 for Makar, 16 for Hughes, 18 for Werenski. He's got a few less even strength points. But he doesn't have the same top end talent. Although Columbus, surprisingly, Marchenko, they got some skill there. But I'm telling you, Zach Werenski deserves to be right in the conversation with Hughes and Makar. It's not a 2-man race; it's a 3-man race for the Norse. Right now, some of the other races that you like because they're not voted on, it's just based on production. McKinnon is 5 points up on Draisaitl for the Art Ross right now. Now, Draisaitl does have one game in hand. It's against the Ducks. Could he get 4 points tomorrow night? No one would be shocked. He's on a 12-game heater right now. And then you got Kucherov and Rantanen and McDavid all at 54. Fun race. The Maurice Richard, which Draisaitl has never won. And trust me, they might never publicly say it, but he'd want to win it. He's 4 up now on Nylander and Braden Point and Kaprizov. He's never won it. I think he'd love to win it. Make no mistake. I never buy the argument that the regular season trophies don't matter. Why? Why can't you win a regular season? You can't win the Stanley Cup in the regular season. It's impossible. Can't do it. So I've never bought into those trophies don't matter. No, they still matter. It might not be their 100%. If you give them one choice, of course, they'll all pick the Stanley Cup. So, guys, I take Makar over McJesus. Why? Go look at Cale Makar's numbers away from McKinnon and Rantanen. Get back to me on why you think you take Makar. No chance. Hey guys, if Hyman was doing this for Toronto, would he be on the national team? Gordo, I have no. You know what? Honestly, I can't answer that question. Like, other than Mitch Marner, is anybody else making Team Canada? No. Like John Tavares is having a great year. He didn't make it. He's having a really good year. At his age, John Tavares has been great. Probably not even getting talked about that much. Well, because of Matthews' injury and everything else, I get it. But so no, I can't say for certain if it would or it wouldn't. Because Hyman, there's no way that the decision makers who picked this team could not have seen what Zach Hyman's doing. They all watch the playoffs. Right? For 2 rounds, the Oilers were the only game on in the Stanley Cup, they're the only game on. And then in the third round, one night, it's the Oilers in Dallas. The next night, it's Florida. So you're the only team on most nights playing. How could anybody not be watching them? So I don't the Hyman one, I would love to hear the explanation. That's all I want. Explain to me what you felt he didn't do. Because he's faster than all those players. He scores more goals than all those players. He's dogging on the forecheck. So what is it that he doesn't do? That's what I'd just like to know. Simple. We'll never get it, which is frustrating, but I'd like to know. We'll hear from Leon Draisaitl and Chris Knobloch coming up here momentarily. Knobloch, was talking about, the Hyman situation, and he'll be back with McDavid. I don't mind in an 82-game season that they switched up every now and then. So that's it's pretty good. Hey, Greg, you mentioned Derek Ryan. Do you know any other players who were rookies who ended up playing at 29 who played more than 600 games? Well, I think Ryan's only the second. And I think there's actually only 3 guys who have played 500 games when they made their debut in the NHL at 29. I know Ryan's the second to do 600 games for sure. And I know the other player. Any guesses? I'll give you a hint on the other player. He most of you have, I would say any of you listening right now have seen him play, because he's played as recent as last season in the NHL. All right. Well, so that's a hint. He's not in the NHL this year, but he was last year and the year before and the year before and the year before and the year before. He actually has the record for most games played by a player who debuted in the NHL at the age of 29. Derek Ryan turned 29 in December, and then he made his NHL debut in March that year with the Carolina Hurricanes. He was 29 years of age, and 29 years, 2 months, and 3 days. Pretty damn good. So that's why Derek Ryan's career is one of the most unexpected careers you've ever seen. So it's actually Pierre Edward Bellemare, who debuted at the age of 29 with Philadelphia. And he came over from Sweden, right? Had never played in North America before. Now, Derek Ryan had played in the WHL. He played at the U of A. Then he went over to Europe, played in the American League, actually. Bellemare didn't play in the American League. He came right to the NHL. 14-15 with Philadelphia, played there for 3 years, and was in Vegas for a few, Colorado for a few, Tampa Bay, and finished his career with Seattle. Actually won a cup with Tampa Bay in 2022. He ended up playing 700 NHL games after debuting at the age of 29. Derek Ryan's currently at 601. The other player, one of the great defensemen of all time, Vyacheslav Fetisov. Now, different era, of course, because of the Iron Curtain in Russia. But when he came over, he was after the age of 29, played 546 games. So those are the only 3 players ever in NHL history to play 500 games after debuting at the age of 29. So Derek Ryan's in very select category. Quick break. We'll return on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
When picking a New Year's resolution, try to avoid things you have no influence over.
Like bringing home the cup? That would be awesome.
But completely outside your control. Instead, pick something you can control, like bringing home some Wilhauk beef jerky.
That would also be awesome. But what if we brought the cup home to Canada and it was filled with Wilhauk beef jerky?
Okay, I'll allow it.
Wilhauk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win cups with salad.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase-style regular season gameplay and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2012 and 2017. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
Didn't get a holiday bonus? At Wolf GMC Buick, we have the bonus you need. Get 0% financing on our most popular trucks like the Sierra Half-Ton Crew Cab during GMC's Canada-wide clearance. Or select up to $8,500 on a number of Sierras. If you're looking for heavy duty, we have that too. Get GMC employee pricing on our Sierra HDs, Yukons, and the all-new GMC Hummer EV. And seeing it's the holidays, a $500 bonus on select 2024 and 2025 models. But when the holidays are done, so are these deals. Get to Wolf GMC Buick today.
A bedtime story by Zachary Martin Hyman.
The hockey game's over. The Zamboni sleeps soon. I lay down in comfort, legacy heating my room. Good night to you, furnace, with your hot blower running. Good night to you, air vents, keeping the warm air coming. Good night to my payments that I won't see for 1 year. Good night to my legacy. Bedtime is near.
Warm winter nights. That's how you soothe your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Now, all sizes of premium roast coffee at McDonald's have a new low price starting at $1 plus tax for a small. It's great if you love great tasting coffee. $1 small premium roast coffee every single day. Must be McCafe. Plus tax at participating restaurants in Canada. Excludes delivery.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team at Old Strathcona has special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Man, this song's still a classic. I love it. Welcome back. It is the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. You can get in the game. It's January. It's a new month. But guess what? Use the promo code Gregor50. Even if you use it in December, you get a new one. PlayAlberta.ca, and you'll get a $50 free play at PlayAlberta.ca. We will... I'm going to get to some World Junior talk right now. Brought to you by Action Electrical. Take action on your savings right now with Action Electrical, one of the most diversified electrical contractors in Alberta, 4 divisions and projects and service and TAG, as well as energy, both solar and EV. Learn more at actionelectrical.net. Stephen Ellis from Daily Faceoff joins us. And Stephen, it's been quite the tournament. Not the one that Canada was expecting thus far. The lack of offense has it's not just one game now. It's been a trend throughout the entire tournament, and it doesn't seem like the coaching staff has much answers for it. They've been reluctant to make any moves, and even when they do make a move, now they're taking out one of their best goal scorers for tonight's game. Like it's some very perplexing decisions on roster usage.
I received a note from a scout earlier this morning when we heard that it was going to be Carson Rakop coming out of the lineup for Canada. And he said, I would not let Coach Dave Cameron run a McDonald's drive-through at 3 a.m. when there's nobody there. Like, this is, I do not understand some of these roster decisions between, like with Rakop and Porter Martone. They have not been in the lineup at any point together.
I don't get it.
They play together all year long in the OHL.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you don't want to try that, that's weird. But if you don't, put Martone with Gavin McKenna, where they went out there and had the two best tournaments ever seen at the U18s by a Canadian player. Nope, we're not even seeing that either. Like, it's you look at it every day, and it's like everything that would make sense for roster decisions. Like, it's one thing to look at the guys who aren't here, but those decisions were made well in advance. Fine, and there was an argument for all of those players that didn't make the team to not make the team based off of what we saw at selection camp. But with the guys you have here and the combinations that would make sense, it still feels like everything that would make sense, we're doing the complete opposite here.
Yeah. It really, from decisions on who they had on the power play, like Gavin McKenna is their most skilled forward. I don't care what anyone says. And, he doesn't get much power play time. Like, I don't really understand, like, Dave Cameron and even the entire coaching staff, everybody else say, hey guys, like it's never just one person. Well, I guess maybe if it's a complete dictatorship, but rarely does that help. So there's multiple people that have felt these are the right decisions.
Yeah, like this is the thing about this group is you look online, people are saying, oh, this team stinks, like no skill, anything. Like they're out hitting most teams. They're out shooting everybody they play against. They're just not converting. And some of that you can argue a little bit snake bitten. Like Leonard Feldbergs for Latvia had a fantastic tournament and the tournament of his life. Not going to get drafted, but good to see what he was able to do. But from there, just look like this team is lacking confidence. They just seemed like, okay, we couldn't score against the Latvians. Now every game, it's like we got to go out there and try something different. And they're out there beating players in one-on-one situations, but then the plays are dying on there, and they're taking so many dumb penalties out there. Like I know Easton Callan is getting a lot of criticism. He's currently leading the team in points. He's also second in the team on shots, and he's also, I think, first or second in high danger scoring chances. So he's out there doing something, but he's also going out there and taking penalties like he did or giving the puck blindly away. So a lot of the onus is on the players not playing well. But then again, you look at it and it's like, whether it be the way they started on the power play and things like that, it's just there's things that they're doing that both from coaching side and the player side that just don't make a lot of sense.
What do you make of this matchup tonight? What concerns you against Czechia for Canada?
Well, Czechia, they're kind of getting a bit of a reputation as being a one-line team, but that one line's very good, and it all starts with Edward Shala, the Seattle Kraken prospect, just such a skilled player, having a fantastic tournament. Michael Hrabal, the goaltender, was the guy who basically shut Canada out last year's tournament. That was the best game that he played because he struggled in that tournament. This year's been a bit better. He kind of looked like that what we saw a year ago when he played against Sweden a couple nights ago, just kind of fell flat. But I think for Canada, your key thing is start shooting glove side, because that's where Michael Hrabal has struggled in the past couple of years. And if you could do that, you might be able to go out there and make some noise.
If you look at, like the matchups for tonight and you're Cameron, is there a matchup you want?
Whatever I think I would love to see, they probably would do the opposite, it seems like. Like what I want them to do is I want to see Gavin McKenna do what Gavin McKenna could do. Go out there and take over games. I want Porter Martone to go out there and make sure that if Canada does advance, I do think they will, but if he goes out there, that they're not pulling him back out of the lineup there. So I think the key there is the Czech defense is big. They're strong. They're going to make you work hard for it. So Canada's got to go out there and beat them with speed.
Stephen Ellis joins us. Stephen, U.S. or Sweden right now? Who do you think's the best team?
Oh, I would still take the Americans. I think they're a better team overall, but Sweden's tournament's just been better. Granted, they go out there and they're playing in Group B, a much weaker group, and we saw them almost blow it today against Latvia. I think, when the Americans are at full strength, like we saw today when they went out there and dominated Switzerland, they're the better team. So I'm looking at the Americans.
Has there been anybody in this tournament who you think, because now I want to preface this question by saying 5 or 6 games should never be the make or break for any draft eligible player. And I know there's not a ton of them, but have you seen a guy whose stock has improved because of this tournament?
Well, if there's a team looking to maybe get a re-entry goalie, what about Petteri Rimponen, the Finland goalie? A guy that is having a great year in the Finnish league. He's actually been one of the better goalies in that league, and that's tough for a 19-year-old playing against pros. And he's been lights out for the Finns throughout. He's already looking good right now against the Slovaks. He's played every minute of the tournament for them. And to go out there and beat out an NHL drafted goalie for the starting game, that's a good sign. So I'd say that, keep an eye out for Petteri Rimpinen, who might end up winning top goalie honors in this tournament.
Well, and you say the overage goalie, like we're seeing overage players be drafted, and we say overage, I kind of laugh at it because to me, I would argue that in a lot of cases, that's where the draft should be. Like you just get more viewings for these guys. You have another year, and it's already close to 50% of drafted players are now being, drafted at their 18-year-old year instead of their 17-year-old year, right? Like they were overlooked the first year because I think scouts are realizing the more looks you have, like, okay, I see this guy now. He's played 3 years of major junior where a guy's only played 2. I just have more views. I feel better and more comfortable that I think, this guy, I might have better potential now and I can wait till next year on those players.
Exactly. Like you're asking a lot for these kids who, especially when you're playing in Europe, that they're not playing a ton of minutes if they're playing in the pro league, or if they are, they're not playing in the highest pro league possible. And I think that could be difficult. Then you go out there and you see someone like Gavin McKenna, he can go out there and put 130 points up in the WHL. Like for him, he could probably go right to the NHL right now, but the development means like the best guys are maybe not being challenged enough, and then other guys aren't getting enough opportunities. So you've kind of got a mixed bag there. So, there's definitely a good argument to make the draft age older, but I guess interesting to know what the players feel, because they would tell you they just want to get drafted as early as possible, but then you get guys who show up as second-year players and end up becoming one of the best players of the draft. Yeah. Well, when you talk to scouts, Steve, like I can tell you that scouts, I'm sure, would all be for it, right? You'd improve your chance of success. I don't understand why the league is so opposed to it. Yeah, but again, there's an argument that maybe there should be an exceptional status to be in the NHL. Like again, Gavin McKenna, if we're talking about him going to play college next year, again, I still in the belief he could play in the NHL next year, and that would be a much better place for him. But I think it's, when talking to scouts, a lot of them are kind of mixed. A lot of them say, like, what? Yeah, 19, 20-year-old, fine, that's good. But other ones look at it and say, hey, just draft better, find those traits. Because you don't find a ton of guys who just magically become different players that are draft plus 1 year. You're looking for guys who end up just taking it an extra step. But, the scouts that feel they're the best, they like it the way it is. Steve, looking at Latvia's tournament and, how young of a team they have and how many guys can return next year, like, The Latvian program overall, it's such a small country, and they've been able to become competitive, right? Like they're not competitive enough to win the tournament yet, but they don't get embarrassed in these games anymore very often. What do you make of their program, the keys to success for it, and could Latvia next season, with them being a year older, like would there be a chance, like, say, hey, maybe they get to the semis? Is that realistic? Or is it still, okay, this is a great story, but even though they're going to return 12, it's probably quarterfinal loss again next year? They're going to be given teams fits the next couple of years, because what's crazy is they're bringing back 14 guys, or can bring back 14 guys next year. They bring back 6 the year after that and 4 the year after 2028. Like, that's pretty much unheard of at a tournament like this. Right. I think what they're still missing, though, is like actual game-changing offensive threats. And we felt like Eric Smateko had a really good tournament, but Eric Smateko is probably the 40th best forward in this tournament. Like, in reality, when you look at all the talent that's in this group. So I think for what this team needs to do is they need to start working on actually developing guys who could score goals. And we saw that against Canada. We saw that against the United States. Across all levels of Latvian hockey, they're going out there and they're playing some really good defensive hockey. They're getting some good games in net. And I've watched a lot of Lennart Feldberg's their goalie in the tournament. There was really no sign that he would be this good. Like, he's had a lot of tournaments where he's done a whole lot of nothing. Right. The one thing for them, though, with the U18 team is consistently competing in the top division. So those guys are playing against good competition. They're getting that experience, and it'll be more translatable here than going out there and playing in Slovenia and Austria and stuff like that. So I think they'll be a consistent team. You're not worried about them falling to the relegation round anymore. Okay. But they're still far away if they don't have anyone actually scoring goals. Right. Yeah. And that's fair. And that's why I was just kind of curious, like how, it's a great number, but how far? And the hardest thing to do is to find those top end guys, right? Like you look at Germany's programs improved and you got Draisaitl and you got Stützle, but it might be another decade before you find another guy like that. Like, it's hard. So it's not like you can just, make some elite offensive guy emerge in Latvia. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like, you look at the 2014 Olympics and the way they played against Canada, and that truly was one good game for them. They struggled the rest of the way, but I know a lot of kids look at that as being something that really made them want to take hockey seriously. And Then you look at the group that won bronze a couple of years ago at the World Championship, or the one that beat Canada in 2021 on home ice. Like, those are moments that are going to add up and be very important for them. And one player that's going to be really interesting to see in the next couple of years is Oliver Marek, who's a 2008 born player.
Okay.
He played first line for Latvia the whole tournament. He was one of the best players. Again, 2008. So he still has a long way in his development, but that might be the guy that ends up being the game changer. We'll see. He's still pretty young, but it's in a good spot right now. Probably the best prospect pool they've ever had.
Steve, give me your prediction tonight. Canada moving on?
I'm going 3-2 Canada tonight. It's going to be close, but I think that finally this is the game to get their confidence back.
Okay. 3 goals. Well, that'll be a big boost offensively. We look forward to watching it tonight, man. Thanks for your time as always.
Yep. All righty. Thanks so much.
There you go. Stephen Ellis joining us from Ottawa, where, of course, Canada getting set to take on Czechia in quarterfinal action. Now, the U.S. and Sweden have already won today, so they punched their ticket to move on to the next round. And Colin, so we got a score in the Finland game?
Yeah, let me just refresh to make sure. 3-0 Finland.
So looks like could be Finns versus the U.S. And Canada, if they win, will take on Sweden. So not a huge surprise amongst those 4 teams. Canada, U.S., Sweden, and Finland into the semifinals. From a competitive nature, it'll definitely help when Russia gets back in, but I understand why they're not there now. But eventually at some point, hopefully that war ends and they'll be back in. Take a quick break, and when we return, the off season, a little bit slower in drama, but there's never a shortage of it, and some changes potentially for 2025 up next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
New year, new you. Let's kickstart 2025 by making better life choices, starting with quality pizza from Papa John's. Right now, get 25% off any regular menu price pizza with promo code BETTER25. A deal so good, it might just count as self-care. But hurry, resolutions wait for no one. Offer ends January 5th. Order now at papajohns.ca with promo code BETTER25. Better ingredients, better pizza, better get you some Papa John's.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
Mr. Rooter makes a prank phone call.
It's ringing.
Hello?
Hello there. Is your faucet running?
Yeah, actually it is. I have this really annoying drip.
Oh, you'll want to check for mineral buildup or corrosion. Otherwise, it's likely an defective gasket or O-ring. I got him good.
Mr. Rooter, you're the worst at this.
For lousy punchlines and immaculate water lines, trust one plumber, Mr. Rooter.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
Delicious news. The McDonald's meals you love are now $9.99 every day. Grab your faves like the Big Mac, 6-piece McNugget, McChicken, or Filet-O-Fish with medium fries and a medium fountain drink for $9.99 each plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Edmonton, Alberta, and the surrounding area. Prices exclude delivery.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the only place to call for heating your home. So when it's time to replace your old furnace,
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
or for 24-hour repair with no overtime rates.
Call Legacy.
Legacy even heats your shower with hot water tank.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
And with no interest and no payments for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
For years now,
We've been warning Edmontonians on the hazards of our stormwater facilities. While they may appear to look like still ponds, there is moving water beneath the surface, which makes the ice dangerously. The unpredictability of stormwater facilities makes them treacherously unsafe for all winter activities, even walking. So think twice. Don't go on the ice. A safety message from EPCOR.
RV Wars are back January 3rd to 5th. Looking for something fun to do? Shop comfortably from indoors at RV Wars. Save thousands on last year's remaining models. Over 50 RVs indoors and out of the cold. So take your coat off and have a look inside. Tent and travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, truck campers, and motorhomes. Come be cozy and warm January 3rd to 5th at 28712 114th Avenue in Atchison. Visit rvwars.ca for details.
Looking at the Alberta weather forecast, wild, unpredictable, brutally tough.
When the weather turns tough, Titan Supply doesn't back down. Titan Supply has been protecting workers from conditions like this for 50 years. We stand tall with you against the elements with the industry's best rigging, hauling, and lifting products to get you home safe. Tire chains, wire rope, round slings, chain slings, and a whole lot more. Titan Supply in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary. Online at titansupply.ca. Lift, dig, haul.
Now, all sizes of premium roast coffee at McDonald's have a new low price starting at $1 plus tax for a small. It's great if you love great tasting coffee. $1 small premium roast coffee every single day. Must be McCafe. Plus tax at participating restaurants in Canada. Excludes delivery.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company, more than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$3.48. Later on, we'll get to the question we might ask DECCON. So does the bye in the NCAA playoffs hurting these teams? Because the teams on the bye are getting absolutely destroyed in the first quarter of these games thus far. So we'll get to that. Is the bye? That's why I think the NFL, I know it's part of collective bargaining agreement, but at some point, I could see them getting rid of the bye. But, and maybe it's different when it's professionals and NCAA, and maybe it's just an odd quirk, but I think the teams, the non-bye teams, are like up 42-3 in the first quarter. So we'll see. Let's go racing now in our racing report, brought to you by the fine folks at Can Torque, where right now they offer sale, rental, and repair, calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Learn more at cantorque.com. Colin Livingston joins us. Happy New Year, CL. We're getting set up, in the racing season coming up in the new year. There's always a few subtle changes in different ones, but in motorsports, I want to. The F1, they're the best at creating drama that's not really drama. But Max Verstappen comes out and he says mainly McLaren, their rivals, they have used illegal tricks to help with their performance. Right. And so, to say it like that, so maybe he knows, but is he basically saying, well, I know how they cheat because we cheated when we were winning?
My father-in-law is one of the wisest men I've ever met, and still one of the wisest men I've ever known. He's a racer at heart. They used to build drag racing engines. He was an active drag racer for a long time. And the adage in racing is these guys have to be cheating. And you always ask, well, how do you know that? Because we're cheating and they beat us. That's kind of what it comes down to. Right. The Max, and it's not Max. I mean, that's just a good quote because Max happened to say it, but everyone is doing something that they hope doesn't get caught. Red Bull was caught earlier in the year with the under tray modification that they said didn't have any benefit, but if it doesn't have any benefit, then why the hell is it on the car? He's saying, he was really talking about McLaren and what, largely to do with the flexi wing. So they have their front wing, and all the teams are basically doing a version of this where at speed, their wing kind of folds down, because at speed, you don't want any kind of drag.
Right.
In the corners, it pops back up to get you the downforce. They also figured out how to get their rear wing to deflect a little bit. Everyone's doing it. And it was just the way that Max said it that, makes, Christian Horner says stuff like this. Every team principal says it. Red Bull just seems to be a little bit more animated with their stuff. But yeah, when they point out that the other team is cheating, it's really a translation to say, like, listen, we found every trick and we couldn't figure out what they were doing. So we got to call attention to that, and hopefully it gets taken away next year.
When you look at, the old adage, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, which I'm not necessarily certain is the best motto, but you're always looking for advantages in it. But how can they get away with it, I guess, for a while? That would be my question. Like, aren't the inspectors, do they know what the inspectors aren't inspecting?
They know what the tests are and how the tests are applied. It's really, really difficult for the FIA to create a test to replicate what that car's doing at 340 kilometers an hour.
Okay, fair.
The FIA has said, we know what's happening with these front wings. We're satisfied with the testing that we're doing pre-race, but it's really hard to, again, replicate the car at speed.
Right.
They were not happy with what McLaren was doing, and what they did was took video evidence of the wing where they can kind of put positional sensors on, and they saw how much the wing was deflecting at speed. They got that cut out. Cheating is a really ambiguous term, because what the teams will tell you is that they're not cheating. They're just trying to exploit the gray area. There are, George Russell at Spa, his car came in a fraction of a pound too light.
Yes.
He was disqualified.
Right.
Was he cheating? No, but at that point in time, he did not meet the minimum requirement. They cut it too close. Now, you can look back and say, well, if you don't want to cheat, then make sure you always have well, if you're always in the safe zone, you're never going to win and you're never going to perform. So these teams, they're down to the point on these cars when it comes to weight requirement of getting rid of paint, because the paint's going to put them too far over the top. That's why there's so much black on the cars, because they just have the exposed carbon fiber. So when these teams are exploiting the way the regulations are written and the way that the FIA has to test, it's cheating is a really, really harsh word for what they're doing. There are some things, another word for cheating is innovating. You go back to Mercedes a couple of years ago, they had what was called, and this is even before, this might have been before the Drive to Survive. So a lot of new fans wouldn't know about this stuff, but they came up with what was eventually called the dual axis steering system.
Okay.
So it was back when Lewis and Valtteri were teammates at Mercedes.
Right.
And what the guys were able to do is, by pulling or pushing on their steering wheel, they could add or remove toe to the car. So to their front wheel. So toe, people who are watching on YouTube, the toe is like how your front tires, if they're perfectly square,
right,
that's zero toe.
Okay.
If you add positive toe, it helps in the corners, but obviously when your tires are flanged out like that, you'll create drag on the straightaway. So they were able to get rid of it on the straightaway. They would get to the corner and kind of push their steering wheel, and it would add a fraction of a degree to a degree,
which makes a big difference,
which makes the car turn like it's on rails. And nobody noticed it until there was an in-car camera, and somebody's and it was really obvious that they were pulling, and they could see that the steering wheel was moving, where it's like, hey, we better check this. Then all of a sudden the next year. Now, was that cheating, or was that exploiting something that wasn't in the rule book?
Some would say it's innovative.
I think it was incredibly innovative.
Yeah. Now, another one is always, well, this guy deserves a chance. This person deserves a chance in every sport, right? There's the young rookie. Well, you got to give him a chance, and in some cases it's true. What do you make of the Sonoda versus Liam Lawson for the second seat at Red Bull?
That's a great example of deserves. Again, this is largely directed to the newer fans who, they maybe come out of stick and ball sports. And generally speaking, when you're playing hockey, the best players make it and stay in the NHL. Are there political decisions that happen because of somebody's last name or because of, who they maybe know? Yes, but you don't build your team that way. You don't build your team based on how much sponsor dollar, Connor can bring to your team or, Draisaitl. It's based on the fact that they're the best players that you can put while still staying in the cost cap. Racing is a very different animal, though, because the concept of deserve, when you look at the two candidates that filled that second Red Bull seat, which are Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson.
Yeah.
Yes, there were other contenders potentially, but in reality, that driver was going to come out of the Red Bull family.
Right.
Yuki Tsunoda has years of experience. He's worked within the team. He knows the system. He knows what's going on. He's got, again, years of experience where Liam Lawson hasn't even competed a full year.
Right.
So on paper, who quote unquote deserves that? Should be Yuki Tsunoda.
Mm-hmm.
But Yuki is funded by Honda. Now, Honda is the engine supplier to both of their teams, but Honda's leaving at the end of the year, and that partnership goes away as Red Bull goes to move to their own power plant with Ford. So Red Bull took a look at that and said either they need to pull Yuki out of the Honda system and try and incorporate him, which would be very expensive and wouldn't go over. Honda wants to keep their drivers, or they know that this is likely Yuki's last year. They'll keep him within their team because he's under contract. Liam Lawson gets the bump up. Hajar gets to move into that second junior seat. And then likely at the end of the year, you'll see Yuki get moved over to Aston Martin. Now, it'll be interesting to see, does he replace Fernando, who has still got, I think he's still got one more year on his contract, but he's obviously the oldest driver in the series.
Mm-hmm.
Or does Lance finally kind of take a look and say, I don't really want to do this anymore anyway. And they, and Honda gets to flex their muscle, being that they're the engine provider, say this is who's going to be in the second seat.
Yeah. When do you think that decision gets made? Doesn't it have to be made pretty quick?
They're already getting under crunch time for sure. They'll, from Honda's standpoint, they're going to want to see how the year progresses. It's going to be an interesting year for Aston Martin. They've got Adrian Newey, who has just technically started with the team here this week in the new year. So their car would have already been largely designed. You won't, my opinion is you won't really start seeing Newey's impact on their car until next year, which is also when the new regulations come in.
Yeah.
But yeah, they'll take a look. Lance, if he beaches another car on an outlap, I think his days are pretty much done. I think his days are done anyway, just simply because I don't think he wants to be there. He's not really showing a lot of enthusiasm. He's got the easy, if you want to talk about drivers who deserve versus not deserve, that's probably one that probably doesn't deserve to be there based on effort and based on outcome. But he's got someone who's got his last name that's paying the bills, so he's able to stick around.
I want to get into some storylines that we'll be watching in NASCAR. There's talk about Michael Wallace, who's 65 years of age.
Yep.
And he's going to try to attempt to run the Daytona 500.
Yep.
What do you make of this?
I think it shows very categorically why people can always make the argument that motorsport isn't sport. There's no other sport, there's no other event in the world where a former competitor can come back at the age of 65 in the biggest event on the calendar and expect to compete. Now, that is not NASCAR as a whole. I want to be 100% clear. The NASCAR fans out there are not talking about that. I'm talking specifically about it's Daytona and Talladega are not physically exerting events like the other ones where they pull big G-forces, where there's really high speed, where you're really at the threshold of traction. If a 65-year-old athlete can jump back into your series after being out of it for almost 10 years and have a shot at competing, that doesn't really speak too highly for the class of your field or the event itself. At the very least, you can't refer to your Daytona 500 as the Super Bowl of motorsports when a guy who's 65 years old hasn't taken a rep, in many, many, many years, can just like, if he makes it, it's going to be interesting for sure. But the fact that he even has a chance is really strange. I mean, imagine Joe Montana coming back at the age of 65 and getting thrown into the final of the Super Bowl.
So you're saying auto racing and golf, not sports? Because the Masters has the old guys come back. I'm just joking.
Not say that at all. Motorsport, obviously, very, very physical. I don't care.
No, it's very true.
Go-karts, even NASCAR is crazy physical when you're running, road courses, short tracks, even the mile and a halves where you've got more power than you've got traction. You can break your tires anywhere. You've got to be able to hold that car. But Daytona, yes, there's a lot to it. And I'm not saying that running at Daytona is easy. It's just not physically exerting, where you can just sit in a pack for 180 of the 188 laps, manage to avoid a couple of crashes and walk away with the top 20 finish. It's kind of silly to me, but it'll be interesting to watch.
Now, quickly circling back to F1, there's lots of guys on new teams, 5 of them, in fact. Lewis Hamilton's in Ferrari. I'm not going to include him for my question, but Carlos Sainz with Williams, Ocon with Haas, Hulkenberg's with Sauber, and Liam Lawson in Red Bull. Of those 4, who do you think has the best year next year?
That's a tough one. I'm going to go with Sainz just because I think he's the better. But
But Red Bull has a better car.
Yes, but they've got way worse management, and Lawson is going to be under crazy. He's already been under the gun from Helmut Marko even before he got in the car. And I think their car is going to struggle this year because they don't have Newey to help. So their car, I don't believe, is going to be any better. I don't think they're going to fix the problems that they had last year.
Okay.
And Sainz is going to have an immediate impact with Williams. The issue is they're like $15 million behind the curve with all the crash damage they had last year, which is really going to pour into this year. So, Hulk is, probably the most talented driver to never get a podium in Formula One. But that car is a
junk.
That's being kind. Now they're rebranding as Audi. They might get a bit more support. No, it'll be fun to watch. But yeah, I mean, plus there's 5 rookies this year.
Yeah, 5
so
rookies.
It's there's almost nothing the same from last year. So it'll be fun.
It will be. Colin, great stuff, my man. Have a good one.
See you next week.
It's Colin Livingston, the Racing Report, brought to you by Can Torque. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. For all of a sudden, furnace kicks out and it's getting cold. You need your furnace kicks out overnight, no overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
12 games on the ice tonight in the NHL. You got the Sharks, Lightning, Kraken, Canucks, Vegas hosting the Flyers. Utah's in Calgary. Sabres travel to Denver. Jets host the Ducks. Stars taking on the Sens. Maple Leafs in the Islanders. Jackets host the Wings. Wild take on the Caps, Rangers, and Bruins. And the Canes in Florida to battle the Panthers. World Juniors tonight. Canada takes on Czechia. That'll get going in about 90 minutes time. Right now, Finland taking on Slovakia. Finland right now leading 3-0. Earlier today, Sweden got past Latvia 3-2, and the United States knocking off Switzerland 7-2. In the NBA, got the Heat hosting the Pacers, Celtics in Minnesota, Bucks up against the Nets, Clippers take on the Thunder, Philly heads to the Bay to take on the Warriors, and the Lakers host the Trailblazers. College football playoff right now, Notre Dame leading Georgia 13-3. Second half just about to kick off. Later tonight, you got the Tat Slayer Gator Bowl. Number 14 Ole Miss taking on Duke. That one's 6:30 in the PWHL. Minnesota hosting Boston. Puck drop 5:30. And at the Century in Maui, Tom Hoagie atop the leaderboard right now, 9 under par. Canadian Adam Hadwin is tied with Cameron Young and Will Zalatoris for a second spot at 6 under. Other Canadians taking part: Corey Connors dash 3, Taylor Pendrith 2 under, and Nick Taylor is even. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll ask 5 questions and be joined by Tyler Remchuk from Oilers Nation. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440. Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
We believe that great projects start from the ground up. Well, to be accurate, great projects start from the underground up. We're GS Construction, and from pipes to drainage systems, we're always laying the groundwork for a better future for Edmonton. While the month of January may be slow for some, GS Construction is gearing up for a busy year ahead, preparing to build, repair, and replace tons of infrastructure to keep your systems running smoothly. To find out more, including new job opportunities, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Is it Riverside Motorsports?
No. It's Riverside Motorsports. Over 55 years in business, and people still get it wrong.
Guess it's time to get it right.
Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit FemaleSuperLeague.com.
Been there? Scrap that. Metal Neck Salvage.
With public scrapyard locations in Camrose and Drayton Valley, they'll even come to you. Metal Necks has the trailers and equipment to haul anything away, and not just the good stuff. They'll take it all and pay you more. Their crew also tackles farm, oil field, and industrial site cleanups. Book now for winter. Plus, demolition and roll-off bin services. Details at metalnecks.ca and on Facebook.
Taking care of their customers one piece at a time. Metal Neck Salvage.
I've got a smile on my face, and I've got 4 walls around.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian and $5 Pink Whitney shots and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave and 118th.
The Jason Gregor Show. The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Thursday afternoon, the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. The Edmonton Oilers course, taking on the Anaheim Ducks tomorrow. That starts 9 games in 15 days. For the Oilers, which has them playing in Edmonton, in Seattle, in Boston, in Pittsburgh, in Chicago, in Edmonton, in Minnesota, in Colorado, and Vancouver. So it is definitely entering a tough phase for the Edmonton Oilers. They are very healthy except for Evander Kane. Regula, we keep getting up to people asking, Regula still rehabbing? I know people have asked, well, why was he put on waivers? Well, essentially, so a player can be put on waivers if they're injured, if they agree to it. And Regula at the time agreed because he was going to go and rehab in Providence. That's where he played all last year. Felt more comfortable to be around the guys he knew. And so he agreed to do it. Guess what? Edmonton claimed him. So now he's rehabbing here. Doesn't know anybody, but you're in the NHL, and he's rehabbing NHL facilities. And there's no set timeline on when he'll return. And now, of course, for the Oilers to if they want to try to get him to Bakersfield, they'd have to put him on waivers. Well, then what happens? Boston, if no one else claims him, Boston can claim him and send him directly to the American League. And so then you spent the entire time rehabbing the guy who might never play for you. So it'll be an interesting one to follow for those wondering about Alex Regula. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. You can get a hold of us in our inbox. Let's hear from the head coach as we get to the oil report, brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton.com, where hey man, they got some great deals. You can save $4,500 off of an XC90, the 2025 models. You can get his lease for 1.49% right now. Volvo Cars Edmonton.com. And just talking about his team right now, Connor Brown getting a look on the top line. And what does he think about long-term Hyman and McDavid together?
I think there'll be a time, there's definitely going to be a time that Zach's back on the top line. I think he's a top line guy. And right now, it helps our team with, spreading out the scoring. It also allows Brownie to get a reward for playing really well. So, how long that stretches, I know that'll depend on how the team does. Are we winning games? Is Brownie continue to play at that level he's playing at? And Zach will be there at some point when, that's up to so many other factors.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should be too concerned. Zach Hyman will be back on the top line. You know how it is with these line combinations. We saw it on Tuesday night. They had Henrique and Nugent Hopkins starting the game as 4 centers with Draisaitl and McDavid, and I think that lasted 3/4 of the first period, and then they were back. So I don't get too wrapped up in what their line combinations are. Chris Knobloch has got a very good coaching record. He's not afraid to mix things up with guys at certain times, and I don't have a problem with him doing it again. So, Connor Brown's on a heater. Ride out the heater as much as you can. 10 points in 9 games. Now, Zach Hyman's no shrinking violet himself. He's played pretty well. Adam Henrique, his overall game, in November and December early on, played great. Wasn't scoring a lot, but was outscoring the opposition. Had the one game against Anaheim, really, where he was on for the 4 goals. Not all at 5-5, but still. Just kind of where is the coach at on Adam Henrique so far this season?
I think Rico has been solid for us. I think that'd be good. Just doesn't give up very much. We rely on him for face-offs. He can play against other teams' lines. Outscoring, he's probably 50%, maybe a little bit more. I know the line with Brownie and Yanni and himself are a strong line that plays a lot of difficult minutes against other teams' top lines. And would I like a little more offense from him? Yeah, but a lot of that's maybe a little more that he could do, a little more that the chances. But overall, Rico's good. He's important to our team, and would we like a little more scoring? Yeah, but overall, I think his game's pretty good.
I think that's probably a fair assessment. I don't, Henrique his offense is lower than it's normally been. No question about it. Like that Anaheim game, I know he's on the ice, but I went back and watched that. I didn't see Adam Henrique himself, making glaring errors that led to the plays. So sometimes you're on there. Emberson. Now, keep in mind, Chris Knobloch coached Emberson in the American League when he was a member of the New York Rangers organization before they put him on waivers, and he was claimed by San Jose. And is what he's seeing now from Emberson just the exact same player, just obviously at a higher level in the NHL?
Yeah, that's the player I expected and saw. In the American League, a little more matchups, playing against other teams' top lines. Here, maybe a little more sheltered, but it's not that we shelter him very much. He has a lot of key minutes against other teams' top players, and that's evident with on the penalty kill. He's out there against the team's 5 best offensive players every penalty kill from the start. So, but that's the player that I remember, just a good defender, can make a good first pass. Not a guy that's really putting in big offensive numbers, but can contribute a little bit.
Ty Emberson, he spoke today about, hey, you know what? I know my agents had conversations with the Oilers. He obviously, it's mid-season. He doesn't worry about it. And like, if I'm the Edmonton Oilers and there's certain guys, like I look at Podkolzin, and I know he's got 1 year left on his contract. So you can't sign him to an extension until July 1st. Doesn't mean you can't have conversations about it. And what Edmonton needs is they need to sign a guy. Like if you look at Stuart Skinner's contract, and for what you're getting, Stuart Skinner is killing his contract. Just like I know people, Darnell Nurse crushed his contract when it was 3.3, crushed it when it was 5.5, right? Now they were each 2-year deals. Those 4 years, Darnell Nurse obliterated his value to his contract. It's been great. You get 9.25. Well, it's pretty hard to live up to that contract, no question. Zach Hyman, killing it on his contract. I look at a guy like Ty Emberson. Now, the advantage that the Oilers have with Emberson compared to Broberg, and I understand there's going to be people like, hey, you know what? You got to be Larry Van Offsheet. Okay. Difference is Broberg had the offensive potential to get paid $4.6 million. Ty Emberson doesn't. And if you're just a defensive defenseman who doesn't put up big numbers, you're not going to command numbers because points ultimately is what gets you more minutes, more salary. Now, you're going to have some guys who might get you 3.5, sure, but that's after playing many years. And teams like, wow, look at this guy, 6'3", knows how to play defense, can kill penalties, tough. Okay, we're going to sign him for 3.5 or $4 million. Sure. Ty Emberson's contract negotiation, his agent would probably want a 2-year deal because they think, in 2 more years, because he's only played what? Not even 70 NHL games yet. Right, so he's got a long time before he, is close to a finished product. But I think you could get Ty Emberson on a 2-year deal at 1.5 per year. And then, you know what? Maybe after that, he's like, hey, now I'm an established guy. I've had 2 really good years. I've become valuable. I'm a right shot defenseman. I'm crushing it on the penalty kill. Because he's also only playing 13, 14 minutes, right? And TOI counts a lot when it comes to negotiation for contracts for them. So I look at Ty Emberson. I think you can get him on a really good deal for what he brings, which leads me to Podkolzin. If I'm the Edmonton Oilers, the minute July 1st hits, I'd be trying to sign Podkolzin to a 3 or 4 year deal to 2.3. I don't care how many points he gets this year. You look at Vegas and look at the contract they signed Brett Howden to. Brett Howden is making 2.5 mils. Doesn't start till next year. I think he was on 2.1 now. Got 4 years, $10 million. A lot of money. He's got 15 goals now this season. Right? That's an unreal He doesn't have to score 50. He doesn't have to be at 15 and a halfway point. I'm not sure he'll be a 30-goal guy. He might be unreal. And that could turn out to be an absolute killer contract. I look at Podkolzin, and when you consider how smart he is and how many good little plays he makes all over the ice, I'm signing him on that, hoping that the offense will come and then he'll crush his contract. That's what I'd be looking at Podkolzin. He's physical. He can skate. He's super smart. He's good on the forecheck. His skill guys love playing with him because he makes plays. Right? So the next step for Podkolzin, it's a little bit of confidence thing, sure. But it'd be like, hey, we know you can do the defensive stuff. Now let's work on a skills coach in the summertime. Right? Let's get that one-timer so you're hitting the net more. Different things like that. I would gladly look to lock up Podkolzin at like even 4 years at 2.5, because I think that that's a contract that would age incredibly well for the Edmonton Oilers. Incredibly well. So. Okay, how does the conversation change if he wins a cup and then he can wait for his offer sheet? I think that thought process may change, Tiger. Again, an offer sheet for a defensive defenseman who doesn't put up points, it's completely different than a guy like Broberg who had offensive potential. People thought he could be a guy, St. Louis, and they put him in situations. No team out there is going to use Ty Emberson on their power play. He's never been that guy at any level. Right? He doesn't have the pedigree at all of being an offensive guy. He was never an offensive guy. In college, I think he scored 9 goals total in 3 years. I didn't think it was 10. So, that's not, he wasn't drafted that way. He was drafted kind of what he is as a player. And that's what I would do with Ty Emberson. So I wouldn't spend much time worrying about an offer sheet. I know you just had one. So what happens usually in life is, something happened once. Well, now I'm going to make all my decisions favoring that over what the norm is. And the norm is still not offer sheets, especially for defensive-minded defensemen. Right? He's got 1 goal in 65 NHL games. And that's not a knock on Ty Emberson. I think Ty Emberson is becoming a really solid player. Right? He's different than Cody Ceci. Ceci's bigger. Emberson's a better skater. Right? They defend different. Like I've said, if Ty Emberson could have a career that Cody Ceci has, it'd be unreal for both him and the Oilers. Cody Ceci's had a great career for himself. Fantastic. But I wouldn't be worried about offer sheets with Emberson. I'd be looking at saying, hey, you like it here, we like you, you're going to be in a good team for a long time. A 2-year extension at this point. Nothing wrong with it. Guarantee, whatever. 1.5, maybe the second year is 1.75. I don't know. Pick a number. But I don't think it's going to be much higher than that, honestly. I don't even know if it has to be that high. Look at some of the other contracts recently of guys that were like 1.4, 1.5 mil. It's a defensive defenseman. Right? Because that's what gets guys paid. Now, and that's why it benefits you if you have a good defensive defenseman, because you can get him on his salary is always going to be much lower than the value he gives you for your team. That's the advantage. So systems aren't always even. I would take that advantage to me if I'm the Edmonton Oilers. 833-401-1440. Quickly asked Knobloch just about the upcoming schedule outlined at 9 games in 15 days. And does he account for minutes of certain players to combat fatigue?
Well, you make me tired just thinking about it right now. There's a lot of things we factor in. The minutes more going into a back-to-back. A lot of consideration goes into what days we practice and the travel days and what those practices are going to look like. But to say how much players going to play going into the night, that's pretty tough to do just because what's the game going to be like? Is there a lot of power plays? Is this tight checking? Is there a matchup we're trying to get away? I don't know. There's so many things but right now it is a concern. We do have a lot of hockey and there's a extremely large amount of travel and something we ought to be aware of.
Quick break. When we come back, your Remchuk will join us. Connor, what are you celebrating in here?
The SEC is not dead. Cash Jones just scored a touchdown.
Are you that big of an SEC?
It's more of a joke with Declan, but I can't turn my back on them now. So, now the Bulldogs.
What's the score?
Is 20-10 Irish. But
Ooh.
the Bulldogs,
because they've
got life.
Well, wasn't there a lot of people that were favoring the Bulldogs in this game heavily?
I think there were slight underdogs going in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But Irish look good. They look very fundamental.
So far, they're fighting quite well. Is that what you're telling me?
Big time. Big kickoff return to start the second half.
I saw that.
That kind of blew it open. The over is alive, Gregor.
Yeah, hey, buddy, trust me. I'm team over all day long. What was the line?
40, mid-40s, 45, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I think somebody said there was guarantee that it would be an under. And now it's 30 points? So you're telling me there's a chance.
There's a chance.
Telling me there's a chance. Quick break. We'll come back. Your Remchuk will join us in the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Delicious news. The McDonald's meals you love are now $9.99 every day. Grab your faves like the Big Mac, 6-piece McNugget, McChicken, or Filet-O-Fish with medium fries and a medium fountain drink for $9.99 each plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Edmonton, Alberta, and the surrounding area. Prices exclude delivery.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit edmontonexpocenter.com today.
It's your last chance to shop Boxing Day deals at the Brick. Start the new year off right and save up to 40% off mattresses, up to $960 off sectionals, up to $600 off big screen TVs, and up to $300 off select kitchen appliances when you buy 3 or more. Plus, pick up a queen spring wall Euro top for the price of a twin. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like jobs for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
A bedtime story by Zachary Martin Hyman.
The hockey game's over. The Zamboni sleeps soon. I lay down in comfort. Legacy heating my room. Good night to you, furnace, with your hot blower running. Good night to you, air vents, keeping the warm air coming. Good night to my payments that I won't see for 1 year. Good night to my legacy. Bedtime is near.
Warm winter nights. That's how you soothe your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle.
What keeps Alberta business moving? It's pallets. Whether you're shipping, manufacturing, or looking for in-house storage solutions. Hi, it's Andrew with the Pallet Recycler here in Edmonton, and we've been providing reliable, affordable, recycled, and custom pallets for local businesses for the past 30 years. Contact the Pallet Recycler at 825-474-1981 to find out why recycled pallets are the most cost-effective way to move and store your product. Learn about our recycling program as well at thepalletrecycler.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$429. How are you? Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the lovely province of Alberta. As we get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by The Hockey Super League, a premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development, offering borderless hockey, including province and cross-province competition. Check out hockeysuperleague.ca for more information. As Tyler Remchuk from Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff joins us once again. Ty, Happy New Year. How you doing?
I'm big guest of the day. Hold on. I should have put on a suit or something. I've never been the big guest of the day.
Yeah, well, hey, there you go, buddy. It's a new year. It's a new year, right? Things are moving up. Oilers, hey, they end 24. The calendar year of 2024 was pretty spectacular, really, for the Edmonton Oilers. When you look at how many games they won in the regular season, how many they won in the playoffs. I know they lost one game. Really, they lost one game. Otherwise, people would say 24 was like, for some Oilers fans, would have been the greatest year of their life, unless they were around in 1990. Right? So it's a pretty good calendar year. So I look at 2025, though, and I look at the Oilers roster, and I see, so there's a few options here. Like for me, and looking at the tea leaves and everything, Evander Kane, when he returns, he's a bottom six left winger for me. If he becomes more, that's awesome, but I'm not building my playoff roster with any suggestion that he's a top six forward just yet. Not saying he can't be again, but we saw Connor Brown. We've seen tons of other players coming back for major injury. They aren't always the player they were beforehand. So if I don't have him as an option in my top, I either need another top six left winger if I want to go with Nugent Hopkins and Henrique at center, or I need a fourth line center. So the obvious one says, well, let's just go get a fourth line center. The cost acquisition is way lower, but then I have Noah Philp. So how many games does Noah Philp need in your eyes before you would know if he's even a possible option for that fourth line center spot in the playoffs?
Well, what makes that interesting is we're talking about games before the trade deadline, right? Not games before the end of the regular season. So right there, you're already cutting down how many available games you have basically in half. I think I would probably want to see him play a really consistent stretch of, call it 12 games. Like 10 feels too low, 15 with just the amount of time you have almost feels like too high. But if he can come in and at some point give you 12 straight games where you go, okay, this guy looks like a legitimate NHLer, then I think that is probably enough to truly impact your trade deadline plans. But even then, like if he were to come in and play 12 straight games where you go, okay, this guy's going good, I still think you'd probably want a little bit of insurance there. Now, I guess your insurance, as I say that, your insurance could just be, again, Derek Ryan is your 13th forward. It's not like you're really panicking if Derek Ryan has to come into your lineup at any point over a playoff run. He just did it for you. But I think 12 games for Noah Philp seems like a good bar. I think the other one, too, is if you really feel like at some point you need a spark, Matt Savoy is starting to play some of the best hockey of his professional career down there in Bakersfield. Is there any point where you're maybe tempted to run? No, you're out.
I am out. People let Matt Savoy mature and develop. He's had like 10, 15 games. It's in the American League. He's I'm going to the Stanley Cup run. I'm not saying, hey, you know what? My answer is a rookie in the NHL playoffs. I know Jake Gensel did it. Came out of college, played half a season in the American League. So it's not completely unexpected. It's happened before. It's not unprecedented. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. But he would be my option in case of injury, but he's not my first option to fill it. That's how I would look at it with Matt Savoy.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, Dallas last year brought up Logan Stankoven halfway through the year, and he's a 5'8" forward. He ended up scoring 8 points in their playoff run in 19 games. Like, I wouldn't be totally against it, but I agree with you. Just because of his size, I'm not bringing up Matt Savoy to play on the fourth line. It probably is more of something where if you have an injury to someone in the top six and you need a skilled call-up, he's the guy. But what if you could build some sort of a third scoring line with him involved? I'm not sure if it exactly works, but I don't know. I've seen some people say, if you try to go with, call it the spine of both Nuge and Henrique playing center behind the big guns, do you need to find more skill for the wings? I don't personally like that approach. I'd much rather just call up Noah Philp and do things that way, but it's an option, I guess.
Yeah. Stankoven's an interesting, example. I look at it, I had the 3 goals, and then, you kind of look at him. I would be it's funny. He had 3 playoff goals. What's he got this year in the regular season? 4. It's still, he got hot, but it's just not a league very often in the playoffs where 20-year-olds come in and have a lot of success, especially smaller 20-year-olds. So I would rather have Matt Savoy crush it in the American League, go into the offseason and be like, man, I am kicking ass and I feel great, rather than he comes up to the NHL and gets murdered and it's like, oh, geez, I learned a lot, but now I'm not really feeling as confident as I was before. Because sometimes I don't know what I don't know can help your confidence in an offseason of training.
Yeah, and you know what? One thing I've loved that the Oilers have done with Matt Savoy, and I remember listening to your show right around the time when they made the deal. Like, again, this is a local kid who was a top 10 pick coming into town in a trade for, a guy who was an established player on your team in Ryan McLeod. I like that there was never any messaging of like, we're going to give him a chance to make the team out of camp or anything like that. The Oilers have done a great job tempering expectations here, and I think that's the right play. And I agree with you. Like, I don't think we'll see him at the NHL level this year, and giving him the full season in the American League to get confidence, because we know how big that can be for young players. Managing the expectations and allowing him to develop his confidence, I think, have been crucial. And if I was, had a say down in Bakersfield, I'd be developing him as a winger. I know they've kind of changed their tune a little bit on that from the summer, but I think he's going to be a winger at the NHL level, and I think that's the way they should be trying to grow him.
Oh no, I think they all agree now he's a winger, and which is how it should be, because let's be honest, there's no top 2 centerline spots available in Edmonton. Okay, you've got 2 of the top 3 forwards in the league here. Leon Draisaitl. Leon Draisaitl is a top 5 center iceman. The Oilers just have the advantage that you can play him and McDavid. Now, you can play them 5-6 minutes together, 5-on-5, but then in lots of stretches, you can have those guys running one after the other, which is, over half the game, 5-on-5. It's such a huge advantage.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And another thing that I really like that the Oilers are doing right now is keeping that second line together with Podkolzin, Draisaitl, and Arvidsson. I mean, Podkolzin's the guy who's under contract for next year. If you can keep letting this chemistry develop, and if he can kind of grow and find his offense at some point, if you can staple that guy to 29's wing for this year and then next year at $1 million, that's such a tremendous advantage to have that spot filled for that cheap. And the 3 of them are playing great hockey. Even if Podkolzin's not producing the goals that you'd like to see from a guy who, again, is playing on the second line next to Leon Draisaitl, the fact that he's going out there and doing so much other really, really good stuff, and now Arvidsson is healthy and looking like kind of the Victor Arvidsson you thought the Oilers were getting when they signed him. I love that while maybe some other lines aren't working and Knobloch is tweaking, he recognizes that second line is humming and he's keeping it together.
Tyler Remchuk joins us. The Oilers... Like, I'm not as down on Adam Henrique. I've seen a lot of people, they might have to upgrade the third line center spot. I think that's rather premature on Adam Henrique.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it is premature. I know there was some, again, Nuge move to center. I don't think Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a better centerman than Adam Henrique at all. Yes, Henrique is struggling right now, but I think we're past that point of thinking Ryan Nugent-Hopkins can be an everyday centerman for you. I think injury replacement, sure. Spot duty, sure. But in terms of planning your lineup around it, I don't like that. The only way I'd be even the least bit interested in making a move where you bring in another third line center or someone of that caliber is if you flip Adam Henrique to the wing and it really hits somewhere. Like if you have him with, let's say it's with Connor McDavid and it's really working and you think, okay, we can keep them together on the top line with maybe Hyman, and we know Nuge is a winger, so we need to build up a better third line. Like that's the only way I can understand it. But even then, I just think you need a defenseman. Probably need a fourth line center. I don't think you can add 2 centermen. I think it's so far down their list of needs that it's unrealistic to expect that they're going to go out and try to upgrade somehow on Adam Henrique before the deadline. They just have too many other things they need to do first.
Yeah, to me, fourth line center. They want to upgrade. They want another defenseman. Like they only have 6 defensemen right now, right? Like they obviously, I know cap is part of the reason why they're doing it, and to only run with 6 D-men, they've been pretty lucky health wise and everything, which is great. But I don't think there's anybody in the minors that they want to play right now come playoff time. So they need another defenseman, and ideally they'd want a guy who's a number 4 or number 5. That's what they're looking for. If it's number 4, he's a right D. If it's a number 5, it's a lefty. And they go from there. And you know what? If an injury comes and Spector comes in for a few games, I think he's shown he can be more than fine to do that. But I see them doing it there. The only way you can play Henrique and Nuge, not the only way, if you do play Henrique and Nuge at center behind Draisaitl and McDavid, then you have to acquire a top 6 left winger because they don't have one. Jeff Skinner, I'm sorry, he's not the answer.
Yeah, he is not going to be the guy. I think that's becoming more and more apparent as we go on. And yeah, I'm just kind of looking on Daily Faceoff right now. Like if you were to run with that approach. Let's say you do Zach Hyman and Connor Brown even on your top line. The second line stays the same. So then on your third line with Nuge, you'd be looking at like a Kapanen and a Skinner with Nuge. Like, I don't know if I love that idea. Maybe when Evander Kane comes back, you have a different view of things. But again, if that's not happening till the playoffs, then you can't really plan for how your lineup might look or who might click with who in that scenario. So again, I just think it's unrealistic for the people who, and like you said, are maybe even overreacting a little bit to the first 30-some games of Adam Henrique's season. It's unrealistic to expect that they're going to go out and find a significant centerman to acquire ahead of the deadline with as little assets that they have. And another big point in all this too, we are not at the halfway point of the season. It feels like the season's been going on for a lot longer than it has, but the Oilers have not played game 40 or 41 yet. To be sitting here and saying, well, Adam Henrique can't do it, he's washed up, he's too old, whatever. Let's all take a deep breath. Last year at this time, Connor Brown didn't have a goal. Look at how the calendar year of 2025 played out for Connor Brown. He got another contract, and he was a really good bottom six piece for them in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And even to the people freaking out about the line combinations, I know it's kind of what we do, and it's kind of part of the gig here, but the line of Henrique, Janmark, and Brown played a grand total of 2 minutes together in the regular season last year after Adam Henrique was acquired at the deadline. They ended up being a really important line in the Stanley Cup final. So again, we can sit here and talk about what would they do in this scenario, that scenario. At the end of the day, I mean, what's happening right now largely has little impact on what's going to happen come playoff time.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's why, Connor Brown playing with McDavid now is a fun. I will say this, though. Brown and Hyman and McDavid will never be a line long term. I was watching, so I took my son, and he's never sat in the front row, so he splurged and sat in the front row for a game. And the opening face-off comes out. Zach Hyman lines up at right wing. Connor Brown skates over, says something to him, and Hyman laughs, skates over to the left wing. He's never played left wing with Connor McDavid. He's not a left winger. I'm not playing him on the left wing. So if you want to try it for a game or two, it didn't even last a period. It doesn't surprise me. Like, Zach Hyman's your best right winger. He'll eventually find his way back to McDavid's line. I find it interesting. Like, I'll be curious even tomorrow. I know they practice it again today, but we've seen them practice lines and then go back to normal. I'll be curious to see how long Brown or how long Hyman plays away from McDavid. I don't know if it lasts the weekend.
No, I would kind of agree with you. Hey, we saw them mix up their D pairing significantly. What was it, a couple of weeks ago? Come to the game, and it's the same old kind of thing, right? Yeah. I do think, though, again, as much as I just kind of laughed about how the Henrique, Janmark, and Brown duo never played together, then got thrown together in the playoffs and were really, really good. I do kind of like the idea of at a point here in January when the schedule even softens up a little bit. Try some new things, right? Get guys comfortable with each other. Have everyone play a little bit on different combinations. Get Hyman away from McDavid for 2 or 3 games and bring him back. I mean, right now, again, not that the wins matter and the Oilers want to get as high as they can so they can have home ice as long as they can. But I think you can kind of afford to be a little bit experimental here if you're Chris Knobloch.
Yeah, I will say this, though. I think the wins matter more now. The Pacific Division is home to 3 of the top 6 teams in the league right now in Vegas, LA, and Edmonton. And if you're Edmonton and you finish 3rd, that means you got to win in LA and in Vegas. Not saying you can't do it. It's just harder. I really think these final, whatever we got, 45 games left for the Edmonton Oilers, it's pretty crucial for them to play well. I actually think this next 2-week stretch is huge because Vegas has an easy schedule while the Oilers have a really hard schedule, and they're already 6 points back. I don't think they want to find themselves much farther back if you get into to January 20th and you're 10 points back. It's really hard to make up that ground.
Yeah, and that is fair. I do think getting into at least 2nd place is probably a must for this team. I just kind of tend to think this is a group that we've seen year after year go and play their best hockey in the back half of the season. I just think they're going to find their groove and eventually go on a little bit of a sustained heater here. But yeah, I mean, this next little run here, who do you got? Anaheim, Seattle, Boston, Pittsburgh, and Chicago. Boston playing some decent hockey. Even Pittsburgh's found a way to string some stuff together, but there's some winnable games here that you're right. This is an important stretch for them to take advantage of. So yeah, hopefully they can do that. And I mean, if the loss to LA the other day stings a little bit more too, when you consider the swing that would have happened if they could have held on to that lead in the final period. But yeah, I that is a good point. You definitely don't want to be going on the road to LA and to Vegas in back-to-back series. And the Pacific Division in general is actually a lot more competitive than I think a lot of people thought. A lot of people kind of dubbed it the worst division in hockey coming into the season. But now with LA playing the way they are, and they're going to get Drew Doughty back at some point here in the next month, they're going to be a force for the rest of the year. And somehow Calgary just keeps kind of hanging around and beating teams and staying in the mix. It's stunning.
Well, how concerned are you think in Vancouver's? Quinn Hughes is out, so that's a major concern. And then Petters, the whole drama, Calgary just sits around a little bit longer here. And they're currently ahead of Vancouver today when the year turns to 2025. Like I'm interested to see how they handle this Quinn Hughes. Now they said it's only going to be 2 weeks, but hey, we've seen 2 weeks turn into a month pretty quickly for a lot of different injuries around the league this year.
Yeah, we have. And Quinn Hughes is a guy, when you look at the minutes he was playing and then how good he was playing with Hronek out of the lineup, who's been a rock for him the last couple of years, I think there was starting to at least be a bit of a whisper of like, hold up, is Quinn Hughes maybe an MVP here? When you look at the drama up front, the fact they didn't have Demko for the stretch. I know Lankinen played great, then they lost Hronek, and Hughes just kept playing more and more and getting better and better, and losing him is massive. And then again, how stable is that locker room right now? I know Hughes and Miller and Pettersson haven't been, quote, getting along for a while now, but it seems to be reaching some sort of a boiling point. And it's one of those things where if there's that undercurrent of all this drama and all the whispers, and I mean, they're barely even whispers now, you can call it a full-fledged conversation that's happening. If the losses start piling up, it's going to be a room that could fall apart quick there in Vancouver. So man, I don't know if Calgary keeps hanging around. Like right now, I'm maybe being a bit of a hater. I'm still not calling them a legit playoff contender, but I'll be turning my stance on that if we're talking about this still maybe 13 games from now. If we get to game 50 and the Flames are still in a playoff spot, no matter how much of a battle of Alberta, whatever, like you got to sit there and be like, they're a playoff team. If they can be sitting in that spot through 50 games, no reason they couldn't hold on.
Yeah, it's very true. Quickly, NFL MVP. I think it's foolish for anybody to claim it's a lock because it ain't a lock. Like, this is a great race. Like, if the Bengals get in, Joe Burrow's got a really good argument. I don't think it's going to be enough. But Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, the fact that Josh Allen is basically going to take one snap, it sounds like, maybe two, I don't know how many, for the Bills. I don't know if it matters, like, in the grand scheme of life, but it might cost him the MVP because Lamar Jackson, he's already the first QB to have 4,000 passing yards and 800 rushing yards. If he throws one touchdown pass in that game and no picks, he'll be the first quarterback ever to throw for over 40 TDs and have 4 or fewer interceptions. Like, both of these guys have had unreal years, and Lamar Jackson's numbers are off the charts.
Yeah, they've both had great years. If there was some weird hypothetical where I had a vote, honestly, Greg's, if the Bengals get in, like, Joe Burrow is doing stuff similar to Lamar. Like, Burrow's stat lines are unheard of. And the fact he could potentially get that team into the playoffs with how awful that defense has been is crazy. My case for Josh Allen is, if you go look, there have been a bunch of games this year where they have been blowing out the other team and Allen comes out of the game early. I think that's hurt his stats a little bit. He hasn't been playing the full games. And also, coming into the season, the Ravens went and got a future Hall of Famer running back to play with Lamar Jackson and beefed up all this stuff. Everyone was talking about the Bills like they were going to be rebuilding. Like, oh, they might not even make the playoffs. Forget about the division. No one was picking them to win the division. They were like plus 250 to win the division. And then look what? Josh Allen goes out with a bunch of receivers that everyone said were no names and blah, 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 blah. And he goes and turns them into one of the best offenses in the NFL. Josh Allen's the MVP. I know I'm a homer, and I'm okay with that.
Did you bet the Bills to win the division?
I did. It was the easiest money I've ever made. They do the pundits do this every year. Last year was like, oh, look out, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, and the Dolphins are so good. You can't. I know. But this year, same thing. It's like, oh, healthy Aaron Rodgers. Like, they're going to make a trade for a wide receiver. Look out. The division runs through Buffalo.
Yeah, after many years running through New England, it's probably fair to say that it runs through Buffalo right now for sure. Ty, enjoy the final weekend of the NFL. And enjoy the orders back-to-back Friday and Saturday. We'll talk to you next week.
See you, Gregs.
It's Tyler Remchuk from Orders Nation and Daily Faceoff. Quick break. We'll come back. We got 5 questions on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Tearing up trails or cruising the open road. Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the performance you crave. Built for thrills, ready for your next adventure. Yamaha's legendary performance and reliability take you there. Make Mother Nature your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Just when the weather is raising your nosy, someone's got a new menu that's tasty and cozy. What? It's Booster Juice. Now you can warm up and chow down with a savory selection of grilled fresh favorites. Breakfast wraps, chicken wraps, grilled cheese, steak, and chicken paninis. Topped with melty cheese, creamy pesto, spicy chipotle. Grilled fresh options made in-house, warm and delicious. Made daily with the finest ingredients. Cozy comfort food at Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is On the Rocks. Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Some might like to play hide and seek or even that Where's Waldo game. But out of sight, out of mind is never something GS Construction ever says. Yes, what's underground might be out of sight for everyone, but it's never out of mind for GS Construction because it's not fun and games ensuring Edmonton's underground infrastructure works for you. We take our job very seriously. And even though we may look like we're pretending to be groundhogs, we're really keeping things running smoothly. To find out more, including new job opportunities, visit gsconstruction.ca.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe in the wisdom of Patch Adams. Treat a disease, you win, you lose. Treat a person, I guarantee you'll win no matter what the outcome. We don't treat conditions, we treat people. From personalized treatment plans to compassionate care, we're committed to helping you achieve your goals. That's why hands-on techniques, unique technologies, and a commitment to hiring amazing people mixed with friendly, fun neighborhood environments. And ta-da! No, it's not magic. It's about being human. Sometimes being human hurts, but life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job, from home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs. We're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Diablo Boots and Canada West, the two best names in work, biker, and western boots. Diablo has been selling quality Canadian boots for over 60 years, from size 6E to 15EE. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Red Wing, and Dakota, when Diablo Boots has the best quality for less? Made in Winnipeg. Plus, all of Diablo boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So save on boots by Save on Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard, on the east side of Save on Foods.
Been there? Scrap that. Metal Neck Salvage.
With public scrapyard locations in Camrose and Drayton Valley, they'll even come to you. Metal Necks has the trailers and equipment to haul anything away, and not just the good stuff. They'll take it all and pay you more. Their crew also tackles farm, oil field, and industrial site cleanups. Book now for winter. Plus, demolition and roll-off bin services. Details at metalnecks.ca and on Facebook.
Taking care of their customers one piece at a time. Metal Neck Salvage.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, rolling through a lovely Thursday afternoon. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick, and it's a customer appreciation sale today, but one day only. 30% off TV stands, wall units, electric fireplaces, 40% off mattresses, 30% off sofas and sectionals and recliners, but bedroom furniture, all today at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason, we saw Zach Hyman's getting on the 3rd line today. Connor Brown up top on the 1st line. I know Coach said it's not going to be that way forever. How long do you think it lasts for?
Good question. Like the Anaheim game, like I know they just lost, so I think the Oilers will be fired up. But Anaheim's in Winnipeg tonight. The Oilers have absolutely obliterated the Ducks in 8 of their last 9 games. I'm going to say it's probably points night on Friday night. So I'll say it lasts. I'll say it lasts the weekend, and then when they get to Boston, it'll switch.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. If it goes that far, going up against Boston, get Hyman back up there. I'm with you on that one. I don't think it's going to be too long. Question number 2, Gabriel Landeskog skating with the Avalanche. Didn't take part in practice, but encouraging. Do you think we see him this season?
Oh, man. I hope so for his sake. This has been a long, long recovery. I'm trying to think the last time a guy was up. Now, honestly, I guess we'd have to go with Mario Lemieux when he missed multiple seasons. Can you think of any other player who missed 2 full seasons and played? I can't. So I'm going to go with Mario. So it's been a long, long time. So, he's put in this much work. He wants to get back. I'd love to see it. So I'm gonna go on the pulling the heartstrings, and I'm gonna say that he gets back.
Yeah, I'm with you. I want to see it. Just for his sake. It's got to be tough the way it went down for him, and just not being able to do something you love with a lingering injury. Getting him back on the ice is a great sign. So I'm going to hold out hope and be optimistic that he gets out there. Question number 3. Knowing what you know now, where will Canada finish at the World Juniors?
They'll win the bronze.
I'll be a little more pessimistic. I'll say 4th.
Okay.
Not loving this team right now, but hey, it's just heating up at the right time. Question number 4. We saw Cam Scadwell go off yesterday in ASU's loss to Texas. The running back was doing it all. It looked like LT out there throwing touchdown passes. What round do you think he'll be drafted in?
I'll go the 3rd round.
Yeah, don't want to agree with you too much, but I think that's where it's going to be. I think, a team will take a shot on him. He'll be a good football player. If it's not a running back, it looks like he's a guy who'll play teams, whatever it might be. He'll be a good player. I'll take him in the 3rd round. A final question for you today. If you had to make a New Year's resolution or already have, what would it be for 2025?
I don't have like a specific resolution. I have a goal that I set. I don't know, maybe that's a different word, but I just have a more direct plan on what I will do for like physical activity / working out. So I have a goal in mind on a mixture of, weights, biking, and yoga. So nice. I'm actually doing it with my son together because he has a little thing that he wants to do. So we're kind of combining the two.
That's good. Having someone else to do it with you. Always accountability, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm kind of like you in that one, trying to clean up the diet a little bit. Hence why I brought in all our junk food to the studio today.
I saw that.
Let the masses.
Just screwing everybody else over, eh?
Have a
hey
little
guys,
bit.
I don't want this. Here you go. Just bring it all in.
Random bag of Sour Patch Kids.
Has just been making endless trips to that bag today. Good for him.
He runs every day. He can handle it.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of my usual one, like doing that, but also trying to stay cultured. Watch a movie here and there, like we did a couple of years ago with the movie watch. I just try to find ones that are, I guess highly praised, loved by many, and knock one off every once in a while. So I'll continue that.
That's good. It's always good to watch. Read a book.
Yeah.
Mix in a book. Books are, and you know what? I highly recommend nonfiction, true stories about people who overcome stuff. Trust me, it'll be very motivating. And there's just something calming about reading a book. Well, I mentioned mixing just a book a month. It's not that much. A book a month. You can't tell me that a grown adult can't read a book a month.
I feel like I'd do better with audiobooks as I play Mario,
Well, then, no, you can't do both. You're not going to be listening. as
Yeah.
I play Mario.
Mario's the key.
Jeez. Oh God, you love Mario. Holy
Yeah.
cow.
Newfound addiction. It's good.
You're totally into it. Yeah. Just like, hey, I'm all into the Mario.
Playing the same 7 levels every time because I can't beat them. But hey, one day I'll get there.
Yeah,
I'll
well,
surpass
hey,
it.
You got to have a goal, right? You have to have a goal. Maybe that'll be your way to surpass it. We'll see. But no, it's always good. I'm curious. Kudos to anybody because there's lots of people out there that make big ones. Like, I want to lose 20 pounds or 30 pounds or whatever it is. So good luck. Hopefully you stick with it. We'll talk to Lorianne about that tomorrow on the show. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Mark Spector will join us here on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Let's get to the Comment Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. Shake those wintertime blues with Booster Juice and enjoy one of their many warm and savory grilled fresh fruit options, including in-house daily with finest ingredients. Visit Booster Juice today or download the Boosters reward app.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
12 games on the ice tonight in the NHL. A bunch just about to get going. Panthers and the Canes. The Bruins in New York battling the Rangers. Caps host the Wild. Red Wings take on the Jackets, and the Islanders up against the Leafs at 6 o'clock. The Sens take on the Stars. Jets host the Ducks at 7. Sabres in Colorado. Flames host the Utah Hockey Club. Then to wrap it up tonight, Vegas hosts the Flyers, the Canucks in Seattle, and the Sharks take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Canada in action 30 minutes away. They'll take on Czechia at the World Juniors. Right now, Finland leads Slovakia 4-1. Earlier today, Sweden knocked off Latvia 3-2, and the States get past Switzerland 7-2. In the association tonight, you got the Heat Pacers, Celtics in Minnesota, Thunder hosting the Clippers, the Sixers head to San Fran, taking on the Warriors, and the Trailblazers in Los Angeles to meet the Lakers. College football bowl season rolling on. Notre Dame right now leading Georgia 23-10. We've got about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Later tonight, Ole Miss meets Duke in the Gator Bowl. PWHL, Boston in Minnesota taking on the Frost. Let's drop in 30 minutes. And at the Century out in Maui right now, Tom Hoagie atop the leaderboard. He is 9 under. Canadian Adam Hadwin tied for 5th at 6 under par. Will Zalatoris, Cameron Young, and Colin Morikawa at -7. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and NFL writer with Sports Illustrated, Matt Bergeron. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Hockey is back. And Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
It's getting free all season long. Can you believe it? Looking for an enjoyable and affordable family night out? The Spruce Grove Saints are excited to introduce their Kids Get In Free program. All kids 12 and under receive free admission for every Saints home game this season. Bring the entire family for action-packed junior hockey at a fraction of the cost. For more information, check out sgsaints.ca.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Are you an HVAC or refrigeration company stressed about meeting your customers' temporary refrigeration needs? No need to worry. The solution is easy. Think Easy Chill Rentals. For repair, maintenance, or even special events, Easy Chill Rentals guarantees you a no-hassle, short or long-term solution for your refrigeration needs. Easy Chill provides mobile walk-in coolers and freezers to customers all over Western Canada. For sales and rentals, don't sweat it, just chill. With Easy Chill Rentals, visit easychillrentals.com today.
Just when the weather is freezing your nosy, someone's got a new menu that's tasty and cozy. What? It's Booster Juice. Now you can warm up and chow down with a savory selection of grilled fresh favorites. Breakfast wraps, chicken wraps, grilled cheese, steak, and chicken paninis. Topped with melty cheese, creamy pesto, spicy chipotle. Grilled fresh options made in-house, warm and delicious. Made daily with the finest ingredients. Cozy comfort food at Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
Pro sports, local sports, minor leagues, you got it all. It's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Well, lovely Thursday for some of you. Just getting off work. Well, must felt like a slog today. First day back, man. Maybe you had like 10 days off. You're like, whoa. Or some of you are just jacked. Couldn't wait to get back. All depends. But either way, hope it was good. It is the Jason Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca as we are back to our regular scheduling. Of course, Sports 1440. We'll have Fox Sports after tonight. And then, of course, we got Karis and the boys in the morning, right into the Frenzy, LT, myself. Then we got the pregame show. Tomorrow is the Oilers host the Ducks and then Seattle. The Oilers will be in there for Saturday night hockey, and then they go on the road. That's first of four. They're into Boston, Pittsburgh, and Chicago. Speaking of Chicago, I'm just stunned how many people are like, oh, the Blackhawks are bad. I'm like, I said at the start of the year, like all these unrealistic expectations about how, oh, the Blackhawks are speeding up the rebuild. Like, my God, I wish you could place a wager on every year, these media people and organization. Oh, we're going to speed it up. No, you're not. Like, what are you expecting? Bedard's when they actually started the rebuild. Okay. Pain is going to be here for a long time in Chicago. Deal with it. It's the reality. Many of you out there who are Oilers fans, you saw it. It is not, there's no quick fix. I'm sorry, I don't care what well, hey, we got Tyler Bertuzzi. No, that's not fixing all of your problems. Sorry to tell you. Let's get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction. They specialize in underground infrastructure. They make your life more enjoyable with running water and indoor plumbing. They are the grinders of the construction industry. GS Construction, as Mark Spector joins us. Spec, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good. A little disappointed. My Latvians came up a goal short against Sweden today. They had them on the ropes, Jay.
Oh, buddy, you know what? There's lots of people that cheer for Latvia. I think, and that's why not. You know, it's a small country, and you know, like they've improved slowly. It's a long process. It's not like it's like you go in 3 years and suddenly they're going to be great. But they got a pretty young team, and so they should be at least competitive again for the next few years.
Well, they're that cycle team. They're like Belarus and Kazakhstan and Austria, where they get their best team, and that gets them into the A pool. And then all those guys get too old, and when they get to the A pool, they don't have them anymore.
Yeah,
you know, and that's a cycle that about 6 or 7 countries go through. So you kind of got to get through it. You know, the way maybe Germany did. Right now, I know Germany almost got relegated, but they got through it, and Latvia's close. So hopefully, that kid, that number 9, what's his name that they that Washington drafted? Looks like a really nice player, man.
Hey, Latvia's got I think it's 14 guys that can come back next year. 14 specs. So
is that right?
Oh, yes. This is not a cycle team. Like it's 14 next year, and then I think it's 7 the year after that, and then 4, which is almost unheard of. So they're
wow.
Yeah, so they might not be relegated here for a while, which would be fantastic, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So no, it would be
Cool
great.
laps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, get some fire jumping. Speck, didn't do anything.
There you go.
It's a big fail. Big fail. Can't believe he didn't do it. Cost your team a chance to win.
A little cold to be lighting or jumping the fire today, my friend.
The wind chill is a tad nipply, to say the least. Oilers N24 at the bang over Utah. Chris Knobloch, I love, he's always mixing things up here. Even when his team has success, he doesn't wait until they lose lots of games. He'll mix it up even when they're winning. I don't expect Hyman and McDavid to be far apart for long, but Connor Brown's on a heater. He's played very well. He's got 10 points in 9 games. So you know what? I get why he gets there for a little bit, although Hyman's played great. But it's becoming obviously clear, Spec, I think, and I looked it up. So Derek Ryan is only the second player in NHL history to debut as a 29-year-old and play in over 600 NHL games. The only other one was Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, who just did it and just retired last year. So
born in France, I believe.
Yes, very true. So, Derek Ryan, you see him now, he's a healthy scratch. What is it, 4 of the last 5 games? They're playing guys who aren't center. I think the writing's on the wall there. So here's if I give you a date, when do we see Noah Philp in Edmonton?
Well, that's a good question. His game's been good down there in Bakersfield, and I think you and I talked a little bit. You want to let's say this. Let's say they play 15 games a month, so 15, 30. Let's just say for fun, there's 30 games between now and the trade deadline, 32, something like that.
Well, it's even less because of 4 nations, but.
Oh, the 4 nations. I forgot about that. You're right. So it's 25 or something, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever it is, I feel like you'd love to give Philp, some of those games to tell you what you need at the trade deadline. Can he be my 4th line center down the stretch and into the playoffs? If he can, that tells me that's my path at the trade deadline if I'm Stan Bowman. I don't want to not know. Do I need a 4th line center? Do I not need a 4th line center? Can Phil play? Can he not play? Is he ready? Is he not ready? So, yeah, I think they got to get him up here relatively soon here. I don't know, let's say Jan 20. If it's going to happen, it better happen pretty quick here. There's no point calling him up in March because if he can't do it for you, it's too late to recover at that point.
Yeah, my account, they got 26 games. Between now and the NHL trade deadline. So, because I think it's on the 7th this year, so it might be 25 games actually. So, you know what? And that's I think you're right. I actually I had a conversation today, and how long do you think you can tell? Well, if the guy isn't ready, you can tell pretty quick. So that's what I was told. Lots of guys told me 12 to 15. They thought that could be enough now because Philp's different. Right, he's a 26-year-old rookie, so he's physically mature. He's probably mentally there. And I looked at Stenlund. Stenlund prior to last year in Florida had 50 games, right? And then he went into Florida and played very well in Florida, and then ended up being a really solid 4th line guy, right? Big right shot centerman, can win some faceoffs for you. And I think Noah Philp maybe, but yeah, they got to at least try it because let's say he is the answer. Well, that just saves you assets that you don't have to give up in that deal, and you can look to make another deal.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying here is if I need a 4th line center is an important player on your team. On championship teams, the 4th line center, I know he doesn't play as many minutes 5-on-5, but you get the right guy, he can help you win.
Oh, yeah.
And, so I hope, if you're the Oilers, you hope like heck that Philp's the right guy. If he can win some faceoffs, right? If he can kill some penalties, if he can, block the shot and play the hard minutes that the 4th line guy plays. If he's not, now we got to decide here. Do we got to go get one? And they're not that bad to get. You could go out and get whoever today's version of Nick Bjugstad is, if it's maybe not Nick Bjugstad himself,
McCarron in Nashville is a guy I would look at. He's 900K. He's got another year left on his deal, which is always great because, hey, if I'm going to give up a pick, it's much better if I'm doing it for a guy that I get multiple runs out of. And, he's a huge body. He's good in the face-off. He's an option for me for sure.
I like that. So do you feel like you go like at the deadline, you're going to pay way more than McCarron should be worth? Because there's probably going to be 4 teams that want him. I like McCarron. Everybody likes McCarron. He'd be a good fourth line center. Gives you some toughness too. Good player. So the point would be, you only have so many assets. We all know this. You only have so much cap space. You'd rather not spend it on something you already have.
Right.
So the Oilers have to figure out, do we already have it or do we need it?
Yes, 100%. And so to me, it's use the advantage of it here coming up. And I know it's a hard conversation. I get all that with Derek Ryan, but I wonder at some point, like now the fact that I've seen him, scratch this many times, he's not going to play tomorrow. Knobloch said that, which doesn't surprise me. He'll go to Seattle, and I fully expect him to play there. In Seattle, in that market, it's a big draw, all that stuff for him and his family makes great sense. And then, then the Oilers kind of mosey on over. Looking at the back end spec, when you look at the right D available, are the Oilers better suited to get a third pair left D and just play Kulak with Nurse, or would you rather get a second pair right D?
Well, it all depends on availability. Who's out there? I'd rather get a second pair right D given the perfect world. But Kulak's taken a lot of pressure off that decision. Kulak's, he's figured out how to be a pretty, he's not getting crushed over there.
No, not at all.
He's picking pucks off the boards. He's getting pucks out. He's playing a real good brand of defense. So, Emberson's another guy. Emberson's a better player than we'd hoped he'd be. Like he's doing just fine. I'm not telling you he's great, but he's doing just fine. He's 65 games into his career, and he's going to get better and better and better. So those two guys have taken, a little bit of pressure off Stan Bowman. He doesn't need to hit a home run for a defenseman like we probably thought he did back in October. What he could use is just a really solid NHL defenseman that you can count on, that can kill a penalty and can play tough minutes. And, probably not a superstar. I mean, not a superstar, but someone solid, like a younger version of Joel Edmondson would be perfect here at this point. But frankly, who knows who's out there? Who knows we didn't think that Fowler was going to get traded this year. And, oh, boy, he's a good defenseman. You'd have loved to have landed him. So they didn't – listen, when they got Matthias Ekholm, nobody was out there talking about Matthias Ekholm being available.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
And they landed Matthias Ekholm, who's become a pillar of this franchise. So we can talk about all the guys that we see on the Puckpedia or, UFA list. But there's other guys out there that are available that we don't know about, and that's what Stan Bowman gets paid for, my friend.
Oh, yeah. No, you can look and, I can go over every guy who has a contract and then say, okay, now would he be good? Is he a realistic option? And then you break it down from there and see who's going to fit and who won't. And you're right. There'll definitely be the odd surprise for sure. Even Ken Holland said, he goes, well, Matthias Ekholm wasn't available until they called again and checked on him. And, well, geez, okay. And so, you have a GM who's like, oh, geez, maybe we got to try to retool and rebuild and see what we can uncover. And so that's obviously what
how good a trade was that?
Oh, yeah, it's worked out pretty well. So, yeah. Despite what a lot of people think, Ken Holland did actually do a lot of good moves that helped the organization.
Tons of good moves. All he did was make the playoffs every year and contend and bring in good players. Anyway, rewriting history here, but I had no problem with the job Ken Holland did here.
Spec, looking at a few other things around the league, and I know that you talk lots of the guys in Vancouver, and we see Calgary, and you got the Canucks, and they got all the drama with Pettersson and Miller, and then you throw in the Quinn Hughes injury. How concerned should they be in Vancouver?
Well, the funny thing for me, when I look at Vancouver, and now I think we all, you, me, our listeners, we kind of Edmonton's our baseline team, and we understand Edmonton real well, and we look at other teams and sort of subconsciously compare them. They've got a couple of superstar players there, that they're just not sure about. Like one thing, Draisaitl and McDavid, man, they're 100%. They bought in defensively. They produce offensively. They play hurt. They play in the playoffs. They produce in the playoffs. You look at a team like Toronto, their best guys never give them what they want in the playoffs. Everybody wonders why. We don't have that problem here. When I look at Vancouver, one of the things that gets me is, first of all, Quinn Hughes is a no-doubter. Absolutely fantastic player from now for the next 15 years. Great player. But they're counting on Pettersson, and they're not sure what they got there. He doesn't show up when you want him. He's emotionally, seemingly, maybe a little bit not that steady. They're counting on Miller. You love Miller, but his reputation is he's awfully tough on teammates. Did you see that Brad Richardson stuff today? Brad Richardson, when he was a Vancouver Canuck, warned Miller. He said, "You can't be this tough on Pettersson. You're going to lose this kid. You can't take it." And Miller, by all accounts, didn't really listen. And here we are today with the two leaders of that team that are, in some kind of weird situation. And the last one is Demko. What are you doing with Demko? Can you go forward with Demko? Is Demko your goalie? Like, he's hurt all the time, So whatever you say about Stu Skinner, and I'm knocking wood when I say it, Stu Skinner shows up every night and plays and gives you everything he's got. Demko can't half the time. So when I look at Vancouver, there's just so many question marks. I'm not sure where you go forward, how you go forward. Who they're going to pick between Miller and Pettersson? Like, what if you had to pick between McDavid and Draisaitl? Well, who you'd pick McDavid, but oh my God, what if you were in that situation? We don't even understand that here. They kind of live that life in Vancouver, and it's got to wear on you, doesn't it, Jay?
Yeah, to me though, I look in how the organization allowed it to get to that point is the issue. Right? Like if you know that Miller's hard on guys and Pettersson can't handle it, well, then you have to have a very open conversation with the guy. And if he keeps doing, someone says, JT, are you an idiot? We've told you how many times. Don't act that way. If not, beat it. That would be that's the only way to look at it. Or
why is a player like JT Miller that's as good a player as he is, and we watched him in the playoffs last year every shift, and he was fantastic. Why does he play for 3 organizations?
Yeah, like you can be a really good player, but that doesn't you still have to accept that not everybody is going to do everything that you want the way you want. And it's hard, but sometimes you gotta bite the bullet and zip it. And maybe he doesn't. And if Richardson's saying, "Hey, I said you can't be that hard on this guy," because people are different. It doesn't mean that Pettersson's soft either. Just because a guy's people react different ways. It doesn't mean you're soft. It's just your personality's different. And you're right. He's moved around to different places. And, to be all scowly all the time, then you could say, well, that doesn't mean you're tough. That might mean you're a little bit stupid because you think, well, this is the only way to go about it.
Yeah. No, you have to adapt to your environment, right? You can't be the same guy every day of every year.
No.
And, listen, I don't have the solution in Vancouver, but the fact that, what looks like a pretty decent team, the team that won the Pacific last year, they're just awash in question marks. There's just so many question marks there.
Yeah.
And that's an issue. Like, let's go up the ladder. Who's running the show? Their GM is Patrick Alvin, but everybody in the league knows that Jimmy Rutherford's making the trades, right?
Yeah, well,
how does that work?
Yeah, that's not ideal either.
How does that work, right? Yeah, the ownership hates the media. Like, I'll tell all our listeners out there, there isn't a team out of 32 teams that treats the media with more disdain than the Vancouver Canucks. And I know people will say, Spec, you're a whiner and all that. I'm stating facts. That's all I'm doing. They treat the media like garbage in Vancouver. How come? Why? Like, how does that help you win a Stanley Cup by doing that? Right, Jay? Like, what are you getting out of that?
It just creates, I don't care who you are, treat anybody with respect. And you'll have a much better chance. You get more respect that way. Less. Yeah, no, but it doesn't surprise me when I look at their owner. I'm a big believer in crap runs downhill. So it's not a huge surprise to me. So
that brings us back to the sponsor of this segment.
GS Construction? Well,
yeah, crap runs downhill. Don't they deal with all that stuff?
Well, they do underground infrastructure. Yes, they do the piping on it. Yes, so they do.
So that means no one understands it more than GS Construction.
Yes, well, yeah. If it's not set up properly, then it's a real problem, and
it's a problem.
Me, you don't want it. You do not want that problem. Spec, we will talk a little Quackers tomorrow. Enjoy a busy NHL Thursday night. Have yourself a great day.
Sounds good, Jake.
There you go. It's Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. Quick break. We'll come back and we'll get into some number crunching, some really good numbers, like some historic numbers to look at next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
New year, new you. Let's kickstart 2025 by making better life choices, starting with quality pizza from Papa John's. Right now, get 25% off any regular menu price pizza with promo code BETTER25. A deal so good, it might just count as self-care. But hurry, resolutions wait for no one. Offer ends January 5th. Order now at papajohns.ca with promo code BETTER25. Better ingredients, better pizza, better get you some Papa John's.
It's your last chance to shop Boxing Day deals at the Brick. Start your new year off right and save up to 40% off mattresses, up to $960 off sectionals, up to $600 off big screen televisions, and up to $300 off select kitchen appliances when you buy 3 or more. Plus, pick up a Queen Springwall Eurotop for the price of a twin. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Now, all sizes of premium roast coffee at McDonald's have a new low price starting at $1 plus tax for a small. It's great if you love great tasting coffee. $1 small premium roast coffee every single day. Must be McCafe. Plus tax at participating restaurants in Canada. Excludes delivery.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Better holiday start with better ingredients, better pizza from Papa John's. Get 25% off any regular price pizza with code BETTER25 at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$5:28. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Cons, is it game over?
Not officially, but yeah, I'm thinking it's over. Notre Dame just running the football. Georgia cannot stop them.
How much time left?
Are we at 2 minutes, Declan?
What's the score still?
23-10.
All right, so didn't get your over, though.
No. Bulldogs just couldn't do it.
Couldn't score any points.
Credit to Notre Dame, though, playing a solid game.
Fighting Irish. So there you have it. So that's another team that didn't have the bye.
Yeah.
Who wins. So clearly you don't want the bye in college football. Not looking good for you. Now, there's going to be two teams with the bye in the NFL. We know one, the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll find out the other between the Vikings and the Lions. And then, you know what? There are some teams that kind of have a bye, at least with their star players. Guys will be rested. Josh Allen's going to take like one snap, or I don't know if it's a series, who knows, but he's in to keep his streak alive, and then he'll sit out. And you know, what does that all mean? Matt Verderam joins us once again to break things down for the final week of the National Football League. Matt, of course, from Sports Illustrated. And Matt, what do you make of the? Do you think the NFL? Now, I know the collective bargaining agreement isn't end until I think it's 2031. Do you think there's any chance before then they try to have it so there's no buys at all in the NFL in the playoffs?
No, I don't think. Look, I think that the playoffs, if anything happens at some point, you know, they'll go NHL style and they'll go, you know, 1 through 8. Yes. But I don't think that's going to happen for a while. Like, look, I think because first of all, what they're going to do is they're going to force the players into an 18-game schedule. That's coming. Like, if that's not, I don't know, next year, which probably won't be next year, probably 2 years from now, they're going to do it. So they're going to have to bargain that out. And I don't know that the players are going to be all that keen on having another game then that all of a sudden now they're going to jam down everybody's throat. Now, look, it's not going to affect everybody, of course. But, no, I think the playoff format's probably going to stay the way it is for a while.
Okay. All right. I could see it. I could see why why the teams want it. Why do you think college football now, maybe it's just an aberration, but why do you think the college football bye hasn't been as beneficial as everybody thought it would be this year?
That's a great question. I think sometimes weird stuff happens, and you know, this is the first time we've had this format. I'll also be the first one to tell you I'm not the biggest college football aficionado in the world, but I would tell you that I think, you know, sometimes weird stuff just plays out. I mean, teams, you know, either the seeding was weird or, you know, teams get hot. You know, I remember years ago in the NHL as a Devils fan, I remember in 2003 they won the Cup, like the Western Conference. Every lower seeded team won every single round. Why? I don't know. Weirdness. Yeah. You know, it happens. Like, because John Sebastian Segura got hot. Like that. You know, it's just, I think sometimes weird stuff just happens, and I think that might be the case here.
Okay. Looking ahead to this final weekend, and I don't know, do you have a vote for MVP, Matt?
I do not. No.
Okay. And you're not supposed to vote till the end of the regular season. Every week counts. So Josh Allen doesn't play, and right. Lamar Jackson plays. Now Lamar is already the first QB with 4,000 passing and 800 rushing yards. If he gets another touchdown, he'll be the first guy with 40 TDs and only 4 interceptions if he doesn't throw a pick. You look at his numbers. Like, his numbers are unreal. Now, I know that Buffalo will end up with more wins, and, you know, we'll see. Maybe it's one extra loss now, but Josh Allen won't happen. Like, where do you view that? And if Cincy finds some miracle to get in, does Joe Burrow get votes? And what about Goff?
Okay, so Burrow would be a historical outlier if we won MVP. No player has ever won MVP on a team with 8 losses. It has never happened in the history of the NFL.
Okay.
I just do not see a world where Burrow's going to win this thing.
Agreed.
Goff, Darnold, great years, no chance in hell. They're not going to win. It's going to come down to Allen or Lamar Jackson. I think Jackson is probably running second here. If I had a vote, I would vote for Allen based on the fact that I feel like they completely overturned that offense, and he is just the overwhelming driving force of that offense. And not to say Lamar Jackson's not, but he has Derrick Henry.
Right.
Like, Josh Allen, who does he have? I mean, they don't have anybody on that team. You're like, that guy's a great player. James Cook's a good player. Khalil Shakir's a good player, but they don't have anybody on that team like a Derrick Henry. So I don't have any problem. Like, if Lamar Jackson wins, it's not like it's some travesty. He's had an incredible season. I also think, if we're being honest, and I would never vote like this, but I know that some do, frankly, it's a narrative.
Right.
It's a narrative thing. And he won 2, and people, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
If some guy's the best player in the league for 10 straight years, you should win it 10 straight years.
100%.
But
but it's but there are people that vote for this thing who don't want to vote for, a guy who's going to now win a third one. I think there's a real case for Allen. Like, I would legitimately vote for Allen, but I also think, look, there's no reason to feel like you're reaching if you want to go, hey, Lamar's been the best player this year. You win him again.
Yeah. Well, I think it's super close, and I think you can make an argument for both, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. The claims that Lamar shouldn't win because he's already won is then why you should get rid of your vote, because it's voted on this year. It's not about who's the MVP based on, well, they haven't won, or he's a super nice guy, or he delivers flowers to senior citizens. That's irrelevant. It's all about, is he the MVP to his team? And so I think it's a great race. Ultimately, though, of those two, which would you give a better chance to beat the Chiefs?
The Bills, because of matchups. But here's the thing with this. I think the Ravens and the Bills are going to play each other in the divisional round, right? Because unless the Ravens totally blow a tire this weekend, they're going to be the third seed. The Bills are locked into the two. I think they will both advance. I think they will play each other. I think the Chiefs are going to beat the daylights out of whoever they play in the second round of the playoffs. So it's probably going to be one of those teams in Kansas City. I actually think Buffalo is a slightly better team than Baltimore. I think Baltimore is going to beat them when they play them in the playoffs, because that is a bad matchup for the Bills. The Bills want to sit in their nickel defense. They don't change. They are very inflexible. And the Ravens are going to come out in that game, and they are just going to put a tight end out there and a fullback out there, or they're going to go 2 tight ends, and they're going to run the ball down Buffalo's throat all night. And unless Buffalo does something they never do, and they go to a much bigger front, they're going to have a problem. It's the same reason they got killed in the first game. I mean, Henry just ran all over them the entire game.
Yeah.
The Ravens against the Chiefs in the Jackson and Pat Mahomes era, the Chiefs have just dominated them. They beat them every time but one. Jackson has miserable numbers against them because the Chiefs usually shut the run game down, and they would, in this case, put McDuffie on Flowers. I think Buffalo has a better shot to beat the Chiefs, but I think the Ravens are going to be the one who gets the shot to beat the Chiefs.
Oh, okay. You look at the Chiefs now, and they get Hollywood. He's healthy. Kelsey looks like a lot better than he was early on in the season. The running back's crazy because they got 2 guys who were on the couch earlier this year, and now they're playing a big part in that team. The Chiefs they seem to be getting better as the season goes along. And to me, that's why when the playoffs start, they're still, to me, like, they're the big favorite in my eyes. Where do you have them?
I don't know. I think they're the big favorite, but if I had to pick a Super Bowl winner, I wouldn't hesitate. That's who I would pick, because we've seen this with them. They do this all the time. They are like New England was for years on end, where you'd sit there and look at the Patriots in like week 11 and say, I don't know. A lot of vulnerabilities there. And then you turn on the playoffs, and they would beat the daylights out of some team. And you're like, yeah, never mind. They're probably going to win it again. And I look at the Chiefs. The defensive line's been completely different since Charles Omenihu came back.
Yeah.
The offense has been totally different since they put Tunia left tackle and Hollywood Brown came back. And you look at them. I mean, since those things have happened, they're averaging 4.5 sacks a game, and they're scoring 30 points a game on offense. And the hard thing with them is, you're going to have, if they were to play in every game they could play in, you got 3 shots at them. One is a game where they're at home against an inferior team on 24 days worth of rest. The other one is a home game at night at Arrowhead, where they know if they win, they go to the Super Bowl. And the other one is the Super Bowl, where they know that they can three-peat. It's just, whoever beats them, I'll say this, because this is probably the most confident thing I'll say in the whole interview. If you're going to beat them, you better beat them in the first 3 quarters of the game. Because if you leave that team in the game late, they're going to find a way to beat you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, you look at all of Patrick Mahomes' numbers. You look at their team numbers in the fourth quarter, but then I just look at their efficiency on third down. To me, that's what separates them to the other teams. They're just so good when it's just like, oh, okay, well, we'll extend a drive, and then their defense gets to rest for a little bit longer. And even if that drive doesn't turn into points, Matt, it just means their defense isn't tired as much. And I think all those little things add up for that team.
They also you're right, I agree with all that. There is a stat, I don't have it in front of me, so forgive me. I might be a little off on this. But something like they had the fewest drives. At least this is like going into the Christmas Day game. They had the fewest drives in the NFL and held the ball for the fourth longest amount of time. Like they're going to take the ball and they're going to be brutally efficient and they're going to convert on third down and they're going to do whatever they need to do. And then Mahomes, as pedestrian as his numbers have been this year by his standards, he's number one in everything in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Everything. Like they just dominate you in a way late in games, unlike any team in my lifetime other than New England, where you look at them and you're like, all right, it's 3rd and 7. This is the game. They've got it. And there's no doubt they're going to convert it. Like, okay, he's going to hit Kelsey. They're going to hit Worthy. They're going to check it down to Pacheco, and he's going to make a guy miss or just flat run him over. And that's why, we watch so many of these teams all year, and I get asked this all the time. Like, how do they win all these close games? Is it a fluke? Are they lucky? And my answer to that is, look at that Atlanta-Washington game on Sunday night. Like, Atlanta just totally botches the game.
Yeah.
They mismanage the timeouts. They're not getting close enough for their kicker. Like, they have no idea what's going on. They take a timeout with them to overtime. Like, the Chiefs never do that stuff.
Yeah.
Ever. Like, they force you to be perfect and then hope they have a bad day.
Yeah.
And they typically don't, and you're typically not perfect, and that's usually it.
What do you think the Chiefs do against the Broncos? Are they resting everybody? What's happening here?
Yeah, I mean, I might play in that game for the Chiefs. So, yes, I don't think they're playing anybody of note. They're going to see a ton of the young guys. I mean, Denver should win that game by 17 points. I mean, there's no excuse for Denver to not. And that happens occasionally. It does happen. But Denver should win that game handily. Yeah, the Chiefs are going to, put out Carson Wentz and all their younger guys and backups and just say, hey, show us what you've got. And I mean, Denver at home in that game, I just can't imagine that they would allow that to slip through their fingers.
Well, and the other thing is, if you're the Chiefs, I think you'd much rather have Denver in the playoff pool. Because let's say Denver shocks the world and wins their first round. Well, then you got to play him rather than face Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Like Joe Burrow in that offense, they've shown they can. And so if you beat Denver, at least it opens the door for Cincy. Because if you lose to Denver, it guarantees you that you will not see Joe Burrow in the playoffs.
Yeah, look, I took a lot of Chiefs heat from Chiefs fans when I tweeted this out a couple of days ago. I was like, look, you're the Chiefs. You don't want to see Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans are like, how could you say that? Like, they're not afraid of anybody. I'm like, I'm not saying they're afraid of them, but
play the odds.
Come on.
Yes.
I mean, would you rather see Bo Nix or Joe Burrow in a playoff game? I mean, no offense to Bo Nix. Bo Nix would tell you you'd rather see Bo Nix in a playoff game. So, no, I think there's no question. And listen, you know what? Do I think Denver is going to beat Buffalo? No. I will say this, though. That is kind of an odd game for the Bills. Like, because one thing about Buffalo, they've been so good this year at times in just, look, the offense scores 32 a game. They get out in front. They get wrong. One thing about, you got to give Denver credit. They play good defense. They can cover man-to-man. They can get a lot of pressure. They lead the league in sacks. Now, look, that all said, that's all fine and well. I think Buffalo's going to score their 24, 27 points, and I just don't think Denver can get there. But, Denver, I would rather play Houston or Pittsburgh than Denver because I just don't think I don't think Houston or Pittsburgh have anything at this point that would scare me. Where, I look at Denver, all right, you can cover, you can rush, great coach, not that the Steelers don't have a great coach, but great coach, like, all right. I mean, but I think in the end, I would not be surprised it's very chalky in the first round of the AFC playoffs.
Yeah, no. Quickly to the Lions and the Vikings. What do you make of that game?
I was just up in Minnesota actually doing a story for SI. I just got back yesterday. I think Minnesota's going to win that game.
Ooh.
I really do because I don't think Detroit can stop them. Like, we all are enamored with offense, and I will give the Lions a lot of credit. The Lions' offense is unbelievable. The Vikings' offense is also really good. And are we sure the Lions are going to force a punt in this game? Like, the Lions just gave up 34 points to Brock Purdy, who exited the game and then said, my arm's on fire.
Yeah.
And two horrible picks. Moody's missing kicks all over the place, and like they still almost gave up 35 points that game. I just like who's covering Jefferson in this game? Who's covering Addison? Who's tackling Aaron Jones? Who's covering Hawkinson? Like who's doing any of this? Listen, I think the Lions, if they were healthy, to me, they'd be the best team in football alongside Kansas City.
Yes.
But they're not healthy.
No.
They're a mass unit. And there is a point of no return. You know, there is just that tipping point of like, hey, man, we can talk all we want about next man up, but like it's just we can't have the next 8 men up.
Yeah.
Like, it's too many. I think Minnesota goes in and wins that game.
Oof. It'd be monsters. And are you disappointed at all that the Eagles aren't going to let Saquon try to go for the record?
No, I think they're smart. I think they'd be out of their minds to let him do it. Because if he goes out and pulls a hamstring, that's a catastrophe for that team.
Yeah. No, I understand the rationale behind it. There's the sports fan in me that would just like to see it for fun, but I understand why they're not doing it. So it's disappointing just because I know records are made to be broken. I'd love to see them, but and that's a hard record that, especially in today's pass happy NFL. I think that's what gets overlooked here. We're in a time where they're passing the ball more than ever, and Saquon's still rushing for that many yards.
Well, you know what? I think we're kind of seeing a renaissance with the run game. You'll get the best teams in football this year. You know, I mean, the Ravens run the heck out of the ball. The Eagles, the Bills run the ball really well. Kansas City is not on that level, but Kansas City has 2 guys who can run the ball effectively, and Mahomes can certainly take off as well. The Lions, their Sonic and Knuckles tandem when healthy. These teams run the ball. The Rams run the ball effectively. Like the Buccaneers with Bucky Irving, they run the ball. Like I think if you look at a lot of these teams, what do they do well? Almost all these playoff teams, they all run the ball well. And, that has been the case in recent years.
Yeah, no, that's true. Matt, as always, buddy, great stuff. I really appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for this.
No problem. Take care.
There you go. That's Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated. Man, that guy's awesome. He sure knows the game. I love it. Always fiery and passionate about the NFL. He's going for the Vikings. I like it. It is true, though. Detroit's defense, is it 6 or 7 starters that they're down, Cons? Like, it's ridiculous from the start of the season. And it might even be more than that. Like, their defense has been absolutely ravaged.
Yeah, and it seems just like every week there's someone else that pops up, and the offense continues to find ways to put up points. That's why Ben Johnson likely becomes a head coach. Their offense has been that good, but it'll be tough because, like he said, Minnesota has the weapons. They're going to put up their points. We should get a shootout in that one, hopefully.
Whew. It should be a hell of a game. It's obviously the game of the week. It's the one that has the most implications, but we'll see what happens. Quick break. We'll come back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Oodle noodle origin. In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudel, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the new world. At Ellis Island, Nudel was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as Oodle Noodle.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies. With state-of-the-art motor coaches, we provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
What keeps Alberta business moving? It's pallets. Whether you're shipping, manufacturing, or looking for in-house storage solutions. Hi, it's Andrew with the Pallet Recycler here in Edmonton, and we've been providing reliable, affordable, recycled, and custom pallets for local businesses for the past 30 years. Contact the Pallet Recycler at 825-474-1981 to find out why recycled pallets are the most cost-effective way to move and store your product. Learn about our recycling program as well at thepalletrecycler.ca.
Diablo Boots and Canada West, the 2 best names in work, biker, and Western boots. Diablo has been selling quality Canadian boots for over 60 years, from size 6E to 15EE. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Redwing, and Dakota, when Diablo Boots has the best quality for less? Made in Winnipeg. Plus, all of Diablo Boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So save on boots by Save on Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save on Foods.
Been there? Scrap that. Metal Neck Salvage.
With public scrapyard locations in Camrose and Drayton Valley, they'll even come to you. Metal Necks has the trailers and equipment to haul anything away, and not just the good stuff. They'll take it all and pay you more. Their crew also tackles farm, oil field, and industrial site cleanups. Book now for winter. Plus, demolition and roll-off bin services. Details at metalnecks.ca and on Facebook.
Taking care of their customers one piece at a time. Metal Neck Salvage.
Funeral ceremonies are different across communities and cultures, but the need to mourn and remember together after the death of a loved one is something we share. It's hard to heal without a ceremony to provide connection and closure.
Mourning together is essential to the healing process. I'm Kirsty Smolik, third-generation president of Park Memorial Funeral Home. From a large church service to a small family dinner, we create the community connection that provides comfort and honors your loved one's memory at Park Memorial.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and I'd like to thank all the people who buy new RVs. Buying your RV new is the most generous thing you can do to help your fellow man. Every year, thousands of people just like you go to the RV show or walk into a new RV store, pay full price, take great care of it like you always do, and then eventually sell it to us. And of course, we pay you market value for your used RV.
But that's tens of thousands less than you paid for it.
That's right, Bob. Could be half of what you paid for it when it was new. And it's still in great shape. So who gets the benefit of that reduced value? Our customers, that's who.
No Bull customers never pay full price for an RV because we only buy used.
Right again, Bob. So we'll enjoy the same RV you have now, only we pay like half as much. And it's only possible because you generously decided to pay that higher price when you bought it. So thanks again to all the new RV buyers, and we'll see you in a few years.
And that's No Bull.
NobleRV.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Well, geez, that was not a good start. 43 seconds in, Czechia scores. Oof. Crowd in Ottawa will be a little flustered, to say the least, Con man. Now, Canada has played better since that opening goal, but my goodness, could you be hard-pressed to find a worse start for Canada in that quarterfinal matchup tonight. Mika Zibanejad, elsewhere in the NHL, he did score his 700th point. The Rangers up 2-0 on the Boston Bruins early on. God, the Rangers, what a disaster that season's been for them. We'll see if they can get it out of the ditch. Meanwhile, games that the only game that really impacts the orders tonight, well, I guess there's the Ducks are in Winnipeg to take on the Jets because, of course, Anaheim comes here tomorrow. And then you have Vancouver is in Seattle. So I guess there's a small one there. But Vegas is probably the other big one. Philly's in Vegas. So the orders would be rooting for a Philadelphia win. You get a Philly win, Edmonton wins, and suddenly they're only 4 back. But Vegas wins tonight, which we expect. Then the orders are 8 back with a game in hand. Coming up tomorrow, we'll have lots of Ducks orders pregame show chatter. Find out, does Canada go into the semifinal, or are we calling a summit? What's happening? We'll get to all of that and more. On behalf of Connor Halley, I'm Jason Gregor. Let's get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by eWell, your partner in power since 1975. For all your electrical gear, go to ewel.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Busy night in the NHL. The following games are at the first intermission. Canes lead the Panthers 1-0. Rangers up on the Bruins 2-0. Wild lead the Caps 2-1. And the Jackets at home trail the Red Wings 3-1. Midway through the first, the Islanders and Leafs are scoreless. Later tonight, Stars host the Sens. Ducks taking on the Jets, Sabres, and Avs. Flames host Utah. Flyers taking on the Golden Knights. Kraken meet the Canucks. And the Lightning in San Jose. World Junior action right now. Canada trails Czechia 1-0 in the first period. Elsewhere, Sweden got past Latvia 3-2. Switzerland fell to the States 7-2. And Finland over Slovakia 5-3 in the association. Couple games underway. Timberwolves lead the Celtics 29-24 in the first, and it's early with the Pacers have an 18-12 lead over the Miami Heat. College football today, Notre Dame advancing with a 23-10 win over Georgia. One other game tonight, Ole Miss meets Duke in the Gator Bowl. PWHL scores between the Frost and the Fleet midway through the first, and at the Century out in Maui right now. Tom Hoagie atop the leaderboard, 9 under par. Will Zalatoris, 8 under. Cameron Young, Colin Morikawa tied for third at 7 under. Canadian Adam Hadwin and Corey Connors both 6 under par. That's good for a tie in the 5th spot. Taylor Pencheth 2, and Nick Taylor is even. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio, and tomorrow morning, Carius Douglas back at 7 a.m. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.